Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in. How are we doing here on a Monday? Life is good, I tell you. Life is good. And you're like, what do you mean? You don't know anything about my life? Well, you're alive, you're breathing, you're listening. Could be worse.
I suppose, yeah.
Right?
I mean, you've been complaining about lots of stuff today, though.
Dude, I just...
I was going to say, you're coming in very positive versus the way I was talking to you earlier.
I'm coming in very hot today to this show. But having said all of that, I mean, the bright side of things, look, man, you're alive, right? You're alive. But it could be
That's
worse.
A plus, I guess.
You could be not alive at this point.
Fair, yeah.
Right? No matter how bad of a day you're having, you just sit back and be like, hey, man, could be worse.
Still sitting here breathing.
Still doing their thing, right? Could have had a bad day at work or having a bad day at work. Hey, man, right? You got a family and your kids. Kids are chilling. Girls all good, whatever. Like, again, just got to sometimes have that perspective. I, for one, need that perspective more than anybody. So, yeah, sometimes I actually am smart enough to bring it up to myself, to calm myself down. Coming up on today's show, Chad Reuter. Haven't talked to him in a minute. NFL draft analyst for NFL.com. He'll join us coming up at 4 o'clock. Green and Gold Update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Talk about the Shrine Bowl. Talk about the Senior Bowl as well. Senior Bowl, obviously, Senior Bowl practices all last week. So looking forward to talking to Chad about that coming up at 4 o'clock. Rick Schlesinger of the Brewers is going to be talking in about 25 minutes or so to the media. We'll play some cuts back from that coming up at 4:20. And he's going to be answering questions on a press release that got sent out by the Brewers stating that the Brewers will no longer be on Bally Sports Wisconsin. Instead, MLB will now control their TV going forward. Now, what does that mean? Well, I've seen numerous questions come up on my Twitter account as well at Sparky Radio, which is, hey, man, do I got to pay for another streaming service? Hey, man, can I watch this on over-the-air TV? Is it going to be available on cable or satellite? Is it only going to be on streaming? How is this all going to work? This is what I think I know right now from what I've been told before this all went down. I believe, like, if you had, say, DirecTV and it was $6.69 or whatever the case may be, was that the Brewers now will again be on a channel. It just won't be that channel. Now, I have several questions, and of course, I'm not going to be on this call because I'm on the radio. But my question is, okay, so let's say you put it on channel 605, right, on DirecTV or whatever, or 209 or 212 on Spectrum or whatever the case is. Is there going to be shoulder programming, or is the channel going to be dark outside of Brewers games? That's my other question. Or is it going to be a simulcast of MLB Network programming on that channel outside of Brewers games? To be honest with you, it would be smart of MLB to simulcast MLB Network on all these regional stations to drive viewership up for MLB Network, because normally that is in a tier that most people probably aren't buying anyhow. So most people don't even know what that programming is like or like that programming. So if you're able to simulcast it there, now you can maybe get more people to sign up for that channel that want to watch their MLB Tonight programming or whatever else. I would love shoulder programming to be a bunch of old Brewers games or all old TV shows or something around the Brewers. But I think the easiest way would be to simulcast MLB Network. The worst thing they could do would be have that channel be dark the whole time.
Yeah, that wouldn't be smart. And I think having the MLB Network programs, all of them are super informative. They really dive deep into the game. They're awesome. Everybody on MLB Network is fantastic.
Yes.
I think the other thing you could do is air your network or your market's games live, and then maybe have replays of all the other games throughout that day from those MLB Network teams that are all signed now within Miami, some of these other teams that are in that deal, and just play those replays throughout the day, throughout the week, and have fans of one of these teams be fans of all these teams.
Now that there is another idea that I'll expand on again. If you took all those teams that have this deal with MLB and then had like a centralized studio show that broadcasted out of the MLB Network studios, separate from the main set, but a different set, and kind of treated it like NFL does with regional, right? Where you go back to the studio and Charlie usually get us updated on what's going on in the Reds game. I don't know if they're in MLB, but let's go to fly out what's going on in Cincinnati. And there's a live look in or a replay of a home run that somebody just hit. That would be super cool because you can't get that from what you had before. Now you get live look-ins at other games and stuff like that, and that would be sweet. That I would be a fan of.
All these teams that are joining the MLB kind of group here are all kind of younger, up-and-coming teams, too, that you might want to try to get more eyes on. If you get fans of other small market teams to be fans of all these small market teams, you can really bring in a lot more money that way, too.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. So we'll get all those answers coming up in a little bit. We'll play some cuts of that from you coming back here in the third hour of the show coming up at 4:20. And then all the other stuff is the same, right? Charlie Sounds today, of course, at 3:40. And I actually have an idea of what's on today. Some good KD sound, talking about the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar scoring record. And then, of course, you have LeBron over that. But hear from KD. Charles Barkley laying it down about Bucks front office and management. So we'll get some of that in Charlie Sounds today, too. But we're going to start off with something that I know nobody else on this network started off with today. I'm positive because I was the one that was in the middle of it last night because of a tweet that I had sent out. Last night, there was a report, I believe that emanated from Jeff Passan. I believe that's who broke it, from ESPN. If it's not, I apologize, but I believe it was Jeff Passan, who said that Eugenio Suarez, who last year played third base and got moved to the Mariners, 1-year deal, $15 million, with an option, a mutual option for a second year in 2027. Whether or not they play baseball in 27, who knows? But as of right now, that would be the mutual option for the second year. Meaning, if Suarez stinks, the team can be like, it's been real, see you later, and they're out, right? And if Suarez has a big year and they don't trade him at the deadline or whatever, and he's like, I can get more on the open market, see you later, I'm out, all is good. If he has a big year and stays, then the value they're paying him, $15 million or whatever, is a steal of a deal at this point for the Cincinnati Reds. So this gets tweeted out. And I was not too happy because y'all know I wanted Suarez at the trade deadline last year. That didn't happen. And I still wanted Suarez this offseason. And I kept saying, man, what if it's 2 for 40? What if it's 1 for 20, 1 for 25? Like, why not just do it and get you some power? Much needed power. Power wins in the playoffs. We've been talking about this nonstop. They don't have it at that position. Now, Charlie and I were talking before the show. Well, Andrew Fisher, top-rated prospect in baseball. Maybe he gets to the big leagues this year. Yeah, maybe. But, I mean, he literally just got drafted and got his first real taste of it last year. So
Brock Wilken's been talked about in these spring training conversations.
Brock
stuff like
Wilken
that could make it there.
Brock Wilken is the king of the freak injury. So, I mean,
him and Jefferson Cuero.
Yes, I'm not laying any stock in Wilken being healthy for a whole year and getting here. Fisher, okay, I can get down with Fisher potentially getting here. But again, that's an if come maybe type deal. So I tweet out that, the Brewers couldn't have done this. That was my quote tweet. I did not think in my wildest dreams that everybody would lose their minds and we would have fighting within the mentions of people that were attacking me and mad at me, and then people that were defending me and are going back with others. The general gist of what I was told from those people that were tweeting at me last night was pretty much Caleb Durbin is fine, right? Defensively, he's better than Suarez, who regressed defensively. He's getting hit for a higher batting average. His on-base percentage is going to be better. He's going to steal more bases. The only thing that Suarez has on him are the power numbers. Correct. Yes. And a lot of what I saw was Brewers fans going, no, we're good. We like our team as is. This is my question. I'm just curious. We're going to do 2 Brewers topics today. One here, one at 3 o'clock. Do you think you, as a fan listening right now, whether it be to the fan in Milwaukee, southeastern Wisconsin, or to the game in Wausau or Duluth and Superior area, the Flamethrower 99.7 FM in Green Bay and Appleton, WNFL, wherever you may be listening, or if you're streaming us, wisportsradio.com, or live streaming us on YouTube or X, all that works. This is your opinion. It's not my opinion. It's not Charlie's opinion. There is no right or no wrong answer. We'll just agree to disagree if we disagree, which is fine. Do you think the Brewers are good enough to make it to a World Series with this roster as we sit? Do you think this roster is good enough to go to a World Series with what we have right now on this roster? And if the answer to that is no, I'd like for you to tell me what they're missing. If the answer to that is yes, perfect. Real easy conversation. Yeah, man, we're good enough to go beat the Dodgers in the NLCS. We got enough. Just want to hear it. Just want to know what you think. Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I will make it perfectly clear where I stand on this. I don't care about Suarez's defense. I don't care about Suarez's batting average or that he strikes out a lot. I don't care about any of it. Let me make that perfectly clear. Do not care. What I care about are home runs and power. You can look at it year over year over year. Those teams that have the power when you get to the postseason that can change the game on a swing, those are the teams that normally advance. That's how this works. The reason why Brock Wilken is sitting down there at third base and why they took him is because they need power at third base. The reason why they took Fisher is because they need power at third base and potentially first base if Vaughn doesn't work out. The one thing that changed immediately, and I mean first draft class, after David Stearns left and went to New York and Matt Arnold took over, Matt Arnold immediately started taking bigger dudes with power. Immediately. More than likely, if David Stearns was here, he would not have taken Brock Wilken, and he wouldn't have taken some of these other guys that Matt Arnold has. Matt Arnold came in, and it looks like clearly decided, I'm going to draft power for the corners of the infield. I'm going to do this. They took the first baseman from the Volunteers, too, from Tennessee, the year previous to Fisher. He can only play first base. That's all he plays. So there was a definitive change in what they've been drafting. Not that he doesn't believe in the Stearns way of drafting defense and drafting up the middle and drafting small dudes or whatever. But that is definitely something that's changed. So for me, do I like Caleb Durbin? Sure. Nice player. Right? Good player. Is he best suited for second base over third base? In my mind, yes, he's more suited for second base over third base. If Caleb Durbin was at second and Terang was at short, and I had a power-hitting third baseman, I am very happy with that, right? Very happy. But considering they're not going to move Terang off of second, at least not as of yet, your replacement at shortstop is probably Jesus Made. He maybe gets here in September. Maybe not till 27. So you're rolling with Joey Ortiz again. Murphy's backing him and thinking he's going to have a bigger year than he had last year offensively, giving him praise similar to how he gave Terang praise. So they're buying into him, which means third base is the one area that you have to figure out. And it appears, as of right now, they've decided we're going with Caleb Durbin and we're fine not having a ton of power. I complained about this last year before the season started. I complained about it all during the season. And here we are a year later after losing in the playoffs. Now they beat the Cubs. That was good. I enjoyed that. And then did not look like they could even compete with the Dodgers in the next round of the playoffs. And the decision apparently is we're going to go with the same guys. I mean, this is the definition of insanity. Continue to try to do something the same way over and over again. Me personally, I don't understand. I don't get it. But let's go. Like I said, there's no wrong answer. It's your opinion. It's my opinion. We'll agree to disagree. Fine. So be it. Just kind of curious where everybody is on this. Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250. Do you think the Brewers are good enough as is to make it to a World Series? Matt in Madison, you're first up on the Wisconsin Sports Daily Show served up by Wendy's. What's up, Matt?
I want to say two things. First thing I want to say about Suarez is if you look at his defensive numbers, like his defensive, he's not a very good defender.
Nope.
He does not play Brewers baseball at all.
Yep.
So so if you just think as the Brewers, doesn't really make sense for him to be on the team. I don't know. He just doesn't like Pat Murphy would hate it. But the second thing is that I listened to interview with Matt Arnold yesterday on MLB Network Radio, and they made it. They didn't say it straight up, but they made it seem like, and Matt Arnold made it seem like that's like what we have now is not it for the offense. He made it sound like there's like for the pitching, it sounds like they're done. And then also one of their guys said today that he thinks that there's still that the Brewers are still, that there's another thing in store for the Brewers in the offseason. So, but then my hopes are not dead yet. I'm still waiting.
This is my thing. Tim Allen from Hot Stove Weekly on the Potawatomi Sportsbook postgame show was on the morning show last week, as he is every week, with Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor and Josh. And he said he believes there's a splash move coming from the Brewers still. So if he says that, and if Matt Arnold is hinting at it, and others think it's going to happen, then what are we waiting for? And I mean, if everybody knows of supposed splash move, I haven't seen them rumored to be on anybody. Have you seen them rumored to be on anybody?
No, I haven't, but it's probably just details.
It's got to be a trade.
Just working.
It's got to be a trade.
It's probably a trade, and they probably got. As in, they're probably going to give away some of their infield some of their infield prospects because they have too many.
Correct.
Like their middle infield guys, and that could even be why they got Jet Williams, because they knew they were going to have to give up someone else.
Yep.
Or him even.
All right, Matt. Thanks for the call. I'll come over to you, Charlie. What about your boy Matt Shaw?
Mm-hmm.
Now that is a guy that is going to probably have to play first base in Chicago, I think,
if he wants to find a role in the field. Yeah,
correct. Because obviously they went and got Alex Bregman because the Brewers could not pay what they paid Alex Bregman. Not mad at the Brewers for that one. Doesn't bother me. We've seen the Brewers go to short-term deals with Yasmani Grandal, with Moustakas. They do a deal with Rhys Hoskins, all in the same type of salary range that we're talking about with Suarez. Now, if indeed they're about to pull off some type of great trade for some stud third baseman, by all means, I will completely be like, okay, I understand why you need to do Suarez now. I apologize. I'm wrong. But if this is the roster we go into spring with and nothing else gets done, I'm going to hold a grudge for a while on this one.
Well, and I completely understand that, but going out and making, I guess, a splash move for a guy like Shaw, who I think it's kind of telling right now that the Chicago Cubs were so willing to go out there and find that immediate replacement at third base. And I know it's because they couldn't sign with Kyle Tucker. And
but there's also some pressure for them to win the damn division.
And Matt Shaw isn't a guy that's helping them get to that level right now.
Right.
Last season, he played well enough to be in that spot, but it was pretty close to what you were getting production-wise out of a Caleb Durbin for the Milwaukee Brewers by the second half of the season, too. I think this is a situation where a lot of teams are in the same boat right now, and in my mind, Eugenio Suarez and the Reds have this kind of hometown discount going. He was asking for more money from other teams. This is a team he's been with his entire career. He knows the franchise prior to moving to Seattle and Arizona.
Kids like Cincinnati,
exactly. Too. There's a lot going here that says that he kind of wanted to be back in Cincinnati, even if it was on a one-year deal. And if the Brewers had to pay more than $15 million, I don't think it's worth that.
Well, I mean, my question is, what makes it worth it? I mean, that at the end of the day, you're like, well, it doesn't make it worth it. Okay, fine, fair. What's the line in the sand that makes it worth it? If they signed him to $20 million for 1 year and they go to the World Series, was it worth it? If they signed him to $20 million for 1 year and they get to the same spot as they did the year previous, does that make it not worth it at the end of the day? Like what then would make it worth it? Because I don't think I'm looking at Suarez and going, oh, yeah, he's going to hit 285, steal 20 bags. Like, that's not who he is. He's not going to hit 285. He's not going to not strike out a ton. He's not going to steal a ton of bags. You legitimately would be getting him to put some more thump into the middle of this lineup. That's legitimately the only reason that you would do it.
But I think the Milwaukee Brewers also look at their team and say, you know what, yes, we had a down power season last year, but if Christian Yelich can stay healthy, which is never a given, obviously, then we get that power back in that lineup. Jackson Chourio, if he can stay healthy for a whole season, that's hopefully up to a 25 home run guy.
There's a lot of ifs. If Andrew Vaughn is for real, if Gary Mitchell can
play.
If
you sign in Eugenio Suarez to a $20 million deal, you could win a World Series. That's an if too. That's all
But
ifs. All this is ifs, but you got these guys on your team already that are all showing that they can progress to that point.
But hold on a second. I have one guy who I'm saying, in my opinion, if he hits 30 homers, he's worth it to me. Like, I could care less. He hits 30, I'm good. We can do if Terang hits 5 more, and if Joey Ortiz hits 5 more, and if Gary Mitchell plays, that's 20, and if Churio can hit 5 to 10 more, and if Contreras can stay healthy and hit 5 or 10 more. There's a lot more ifs going around trying to figure out how you're going to make up the power versus one guy. In my mind, my line in the sand would be, if he hits 30, he's worth it. If he doesn't, then I screwed up. That would be my line in the sand.
I think the Brewers are also kind of learning from a team like the Arizona Diamondbacks, where they had this player on their team. Their team is built very similarly to the Brewers. They steal a lot of bases. They hit for contact a lot. They have a couple guys that have that sneaky power that we talk about all the time with the Brewers. They're built very similarly, and they went through a lot of injuries last year. But if they felt like that coming back into the next season, they were going to be healthy enough that Eugenio Suarez was the power bat to stick into that lineup, they would have just kept him through the trade deadline. They would have signed him to a 2-year, 15-a-year deal and brought that back in, but they didn't do that. They decided to trade him away right away when his value was high,
right,
and bring in a couple of young players,
which is
instead
great.
of keeping him. And then Seattle, a team that was a couple wins, 1 win away from going to the World Series, didn't want to keep him either and decided to keep Josh Naylor, a pretty similar player to him, who has the base running upside that we saw in the second half of the season from Naylor. A lot of that, there's just a lot of downsides to Eugenio Suarez that the power doesn't match up with.
Got a lot of people coming in on the text line. People are sitting on hold as well on the listener line. We'll get to all of you guys coming up. If you're on hold, we'll get you in the next segment. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, asking you after Eugenio Suarez signs a 1-year, $15 million deal, the mutual option for 27 with the Cincinnati Reds. Do you think the Brewers are good enough, as is right now, they do nothing else, to make it to a World Series? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250. Yeah, how about that? Highlight courtesy of the Arizona Diamondbacks radio network. I'm sure Caleb Durbin will do that in a game this year. I just don't know which one yet. We just got to figure out which game Durbin's going to hit for.
If Scooter Gennett can do it, Caleb Durbin can do it.
You don't want my thoughts on Scooter Gennett because I definitely was
also
not
a Reds legend.
I was also not a Scooter Gennett guy. Do you know who is a big Scooter Gennett guy?
Who's that?
Tim Allen.
Oh, I bet.
Huge.
I love Scooter, dude.
He used to have Scooter Gennett on all the time back in the day. I bet you he still talks to him, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. I think they probably still do talk. But yeah, Scooter Gennett, big Tim Allen, big fan of his. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Sparky with you, asking you after Suarez, 1 year, $15 million deal, mutual option for a second year with the Reds. Do you think the Brewers are good enough as is to make it to a World Series as we sit right now? Brian and Valders, you're next on the Nicolay Law Talking text line. What's up, Brian?
Sparky, I don't believe that with Eugenio Suarez on our team that we wouldn't beat the Dodgers with him. And with that said, honestly, I'm not a big Suarez supporter myself.
Yep.
I think he's a very poor defender.
Yes.
And last year at the trade deadline, I took a lot of time to study that player because I was thinking, let's go get him, because there was a lot of talk about that at the time.
Yep.
And there was a lot of things said about him with the inability to hit the high fastball. And towards the end of the season, if you watch, his numbers really dropped off. And I don't think there's a lot of teams who were pinballing away from him this offseason. And quite honestly, I don't know why the Reds would even have made that move, because quite honestly, the Reds have better players on their roster that are going to sit now. And younger, better players than Suarez. And quite honestly, to me, he does not fit our model. Even though I know you're going to say, well, I can always find 30 home runs to fit our model. I don't believe he'll hit 30 home runs anymore. I think those days are over with him. But I do think there is another move to be made, whether it be a pitcher or somewhere else or a hitter to come back on this roster. I do believe that.
I don't want to make a bet on the radio on Suarez hitting 30, but that dude's going to hit 30 in Cincinnati. I can but guarantee you he's hitting 30 in Cincinnati. But we'll see what happens. But you're right. As far as defensively, he doesn't fit the Brewers model. Murphy likes the shorter, faster guys with no power and that type of thing. Yes. Yeah. He definitely does not fit how the Brewers are trying to put this together. Jet Williams fits with what Pat Murphy wants. Absolutely. And Jet Williams, Brian, thanks for the call. And Jet Williams, the guy they got from the Mets, he actually swings hard. Like, I feel like you watch him, you feel like might be a hit 15 home runs in a year. Definitely looks like he swings. I don't want to say if he swings harder, but it definitely looks like he has more lift to his ball than Frelick does.
He definitely swings harder.
It's like a Bryce Harper swing almost, the way he swings.
He is very much trying to, it feels like make up for his size with how hard he swings the bat sometimes, which I think can get him in trouble at the major league level occasionally.
Well, we'll see.
But we will see. Yeah.
We will see. Everybody's talking about him being on the roster. I mean, where's he going to be on the roster? Is he going to be the third baseman? I mean, I just can't see how he's on this roster. Who is he going to start
Unless, again, like we keep hearing, there could be another big move on the horizon with a major league level guy that he could fill in.
Put him in center field? You would think Churiel is there now. But what if Garrett Mitchell is healthy and playing? Does Garrett Mitchell go back to center? Churiel slides over to the corner with Frelick in the other corner? And you still have Blake Perkins as your fourth outfielder. So where's he got
playing? A lot of options. Well, and then you signed Akil Baddoo in the outfield too, so he's going to sneak in. He'll be a rotation guy at least to start.
I'm not even getting excited about that. 414 says, on the Nicolay Law Talking text line, I've been saying this till I'm blue in the face. Sparky, we need power in the hot corners. I would have loved it too. I've had Suarez listening to you as always. Thank you. Adam, the bowling guy, formerly known as Adam in a Van, formerly known as Adam in the Dirty Stallus. LOL. See, that's what happens.
Got a lot of titles.
Yeah, you hang out with me, you get 5 million nicknames before it's all said and done. At the end of the day, let's go to Mike in Waukesha. You're next here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Mike, do you think the Brewers are good enough as is to make it to a World Series?
Sparky, I don't know. I agree with you on the power aspect of it, but this is the only way this team is ever going to win a World Series. They got to do it this way. I mean, I'm an old man. Well, not that old, but I'm old enough. And when I grew up, this is the way the game of baseball was played, with the stealing bases.
Yeah. McGee and Coleman and the Cardinals and all of that. Yeah.
This is the way it was played. And I watched the 3-run home run deals, and, baseball got really boring to me. And these guys brought excitement back the last couple years here. We won 97 games last year. You can sign Suarez, but, you know, to every one Suarez you sign, the Dodgers can sign 5 or 6 more. So that's why there's a promo that you guys run on the station where you're interviewing somebody. I don't know who it was. And the guy said, the small market teams aren't spending enough money, and the big guys can come down, but the small market
guys. It was the
guys
John
have to
Heyman
come
one
up.
we did.
Yeah, I think it was John Heyman, MLB Insider. Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, I understand what he's saying, but you know what? You can spend more money. You still can't spend as much as the big teams. So I think we're doing it the right way. And I would just love for this team, and they crapped the bed last year in the playoffs. I agree with that. But I would just love to see this team knock off the Dodgers, because I would think everybody in the Dodgers front office should be fired, and everybody that's in charge of player personnel for that team should be removed if you let a team like Milwaukee come in and play their style of baseball and win a World Series. So I'm rooting for them. I don't care if they sign any more big-time free agents. I like the way their team is set up, and I think they've got a great future ahead of them. Thanks for taking my call, Sparky.
I appreciate it. Thanks. Let me make something very clear. Very, very clear. Are they fun to watch? Yes. Do I like watching them? Absolutely. I'm missing Brewers baseball in the worst way.
Yeah, especially since what we're subjected to right now with the Bucs.
I absolutely am missing Brewers, right? I love Hot Stove Weekly with Tim and Tommy on Wednesday nights from 5 to 7, and they do a great job of keeping us ready for Brewers baseball. I mean, pitchers and catchers are going to report in like 8 days or something, 8-9 days, right? So we're close to getting going again in Arizona for the Brewers. That's all great. But the thing is, and we'll get more into this at 3 o'clock, but at some point, you've got to figure out, how do we topple the giant? I mean, you could throw up your hands and go, it's never happening. I'm happy just being in the playoffs. You absolutely can say that. Or you could say, okay, if they're yinging, I'm yanging, right? They're going that way, or they're zigging, I'm zagging, however you want to say it. And then try and beat them the other way. And maybe that's the plan. We're going to beat them with speed and not rely on power. This is the thing with that, though. It's going to take you several hits to get runs in, a couple at least. With power, you can score 3 with one swing of the bat. With zinging and zanging, with stealing bases and a bunch of, doubles hitters, it's going to take you more of those hits to win against good pitching once you get to the postseason. Ken in Menominee Falls, you're next on the Nicolay Law Talking Text Line. What's up, Ken?
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you on Friday night.
Yeah.
It's one of these deals where, you kind of look at it and you go, the Billy Bean and Bill James theory, right? With a lot of the small market teams, where you have to be a little more creative. You have to develop your players. You have to go and find those and raid other farm systems, or you got to make a number of trades. The one thing that we do have is a GM now that's not afraid to make change, not afraid to make moves, and to better the team. I think the power aspect of this team is a need. No two ways about it. You got to have power. The one guy I don't want to see on this team anymore that drives me nuts, and it drove me nuts, that Murph kept staying with him last year. Throughout the years, this team has had great shortstops. They just can't hit. You cannot put a guy out there that's batting below the Mendoza line all season long going, yep, eventually he's going to hit. That's garbage to me. That's absolute garbage. So you're going to have to fill that role somehow, some way. These little guys that are on the team, the speed guys, whatever you want to call them, that's, you know what? I look at those guys as utility players, in all honesty. You have to solidify yourself with more guys like a Bryce Terang, guys that have power, but that can put the ball in play when runners are in scoring position. If we don't find those players, it's going to be very difficult to win a World Series, because our pitching always seems to come through. We have a tremendous pitching staff and pitching coaches. It's a matter of figuring out this offense, and that has to be job one for Matt Arnold when you're making moves. Is he going to make moves? I truly believe he's going to make moves. Last spring training, I was standing just a few feet away from him when he pulled the trigger to bring Jose Quintana in. So are we going to make splash moves like that throughout the season? Yes. Remember, a lot of these guys that are going to start the season, like Caleb Durbin, he was in the dugout last year, number 62. I remember seeing him during spring training. That's the number he wore. Eventually, he made it onto the team and stayed with the team, right? You're going to see a number of different guys that are going to start this season, but then you're not going to see much from them anymore. There's going to be a number of moves made so that they can be more competitive, not only just to win the division, but to win a World Series. They have opportunity.
Ken,
They have a great
Ken,
coach. They can do it.
Ken, this sounds great and all. It really does. But last night I'm on Twitter going back and forth with people, and guys were like, oh, if you spend that money on Suarez, then you're not going to have any money available to add to your roster then during the season. And my response was, really? Who was the last big name money guy they went out and got at the trade deadline, not named CC Sabathia? They haven't. Yelich was in the offseason. Kane was an offseason signing, not a trade. Yelich was a trade. They don't add big names and big money at trade deadlines. That's not what they do.
And also what they don't
Greinke
do.
was offseason as well.
Yeah, they don't tip their hand to what they're going to do, right? So if you're thinking that they're going to sign Suarez, they're not signing him. So, or players of that caliber, they come up with stuff that are, things that are completely off the cuff that somebody's like, well, I never had that guy on my radar. I didn't think he was coming here. So if you think that's going to happen, more than likely that's not going to happen. But are some mid-league players like an Andrew Vaughn and some of these other guys that were on bad teams potentially available to be picked up by the Brewers to put on this roster and build this offense? You better believe they're out there. And if people don't think they are, they're crazy.
Ken, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. So what he's saying is you got to go find diamonds in the rough in order for this to work for the Brewers. Last year, Suarez had 49 homers and 118 RBIs. 298 on base, 228 average. That's not good. 526 slugging, still ended up 824 for OPS. The leader for the Brewers, 29 homers, 103 RBIs, was Christian Yelich at the end of the day. So he hit 20 more home runs than Christian Yelich did in that time. But from an RBI perspective, was only 15 more, I guess. You're telling me adding that, he had a 3.6 wins above replacement last year. 3.6. I would be willing to bet, and I'd have to search fine, that there are many players, positional players, that were above that in the Brewers lineup.
Probably not. But again, I just don't feel like he is a World Series maker. I don't think you add him into this lineup, and the potential of some of these other guys, if healthy, I know you hate the if, but if healthy, the potential of some of these other guys balances that out at least a little bit. You get more WAR from Jackson Chourio this season.
Hold on. Because Suarez plays doesn't mean everybody else sits and watches, and Suarez is the only guy that bats and nobody else gets better. Suarez replaces Caleb Durbin. In my mind, the question is, you lose defense. Absolutely. But and stolen bases. But what you gain in power and RBIs, Caleb Durbin never, ever on his best year is putting up 49 and 118. I don't care what the man does in the offseason.
But Caleb Durbin's already in this clubhouse. Caleb Durbin's already made a name for himself with the team.
Lord.
Caleb Durbin has done all these things. You talk about the Josh Hader situation all the time. I know that's
Shaw
mid-season.
was in the Cubs clubhouse. They still
and Matt Shaw
Bregman?
has also done a lot of things off the field, said a lot of things that has kind of alienated him from the rest of the clubhouse.
I don't think it would have mattered if he was a perfect student. If they had a chance to get Alex Bregman in Chicago, they were going to do it to improve their team at the end of the day. I'm not saying Suarez is Alex Bregman.
They also didn't win the division last year. They also didn't do as well in the playoffs as they expected to. They're in a lot more of a hurry than the Milwaukee Brewers are right now.
And that's the damn problem. Exactly what you said. We're being complacent, and they haven't sniffed the World Series in how many years? That's the issue that I have for sure. Brewer Mike in Waukesha, you're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up?
Hey, Spark. Hey, I've been saying this, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but we need a stick. All right.
Yep.
I don't know who we can get, but and I agree with that last caller. We don't need a 180 hitter at shortstop all year, because that's not going to bring us anything. And I'll tell you what, I know we have pitching, but if you don't have hitting, Sparky, this team's an 80-win team next year.
No, I don't think they're an 80-win team. I still think they're 90 wins or more next year. Thanks for the call. I do. One last one here real quick. Brian and McGuanago, you're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text Line. What's up, Brian?
Sparky, I got two things to say real quick, so don't cut me off, please. The thing is, remember when the last time the Brewers went to the World Series, what did they have? Power. This whole thing about, it's like I feel like the Brewers are falling into the Mike Tomlin syndrome. They finish 9-7 every year. They're at the top. They're near the top. But when you need to get 3 or 4 hits every inning, and then you get two guys to get a base hit to start the inning, next guy hits, Caleb Durbin comes up, or Joey Ortiz, and double play, and the inning's over. You can end up having a team that'll get an error, a walk. Somebody will jack a 3-run homer for the Dodgers, and they win 3-2. You've got to have power. And I just feel like the Brewers are so blessed right now. They got probably one of the best managers in baseball. They got a sound organization. The farm system is top. But you know what? We need an owner that can spend money. And if you look at the 82 Brewers, unfortunately, they lost that World Series when Fingers was hurt and Ladd was hurt after Game 1. But if you look back, they had power. And even the guys that didn't have power, like Charlie Moore and Sixto Lascano, they still could hit 10 to 15 and maybe 20 every so often in a good year. But then you mix it in with Cooper and Yount and Molitor and Ted Simmons. And the team was balanced. You just can't hope to put one guy there can hit a home run and hope. What does that do? There's nobody on base.
All right.
There's sometimes the Brewers will get 13, 14 hits in the game, and the next 6 games they don't get 14 hits.
Correct. That's very true. Thanks for the call. Listen, the Brewers aren't going to suck because they don't have Eugenio Suarez, right? That's not the issue. The issue is last year going into the postseason, everybody said they don't think the Brewers can get on a run because they don't have enough power. Before the season started last year, I was on the air saying they need more power. They did nothing to address it. Now we're almost done with the offseason again as we get ready for pitchers and catchers to report, and yet a second offseason now has gone by and they've done nothing. If y'all hate Suarez, cool, I'm fine with it. But they need more power. I don't care how they get it. I don't care if they trade 5 prospects for it or if they trade somebody else for it. If they're going to compete at a higher level, they need another big bat in the middle of this lineup to go with Yelich, to go with Contreras, and to go with Chiriot. And we can sit here and go, well, what if Andrew Vaughn does something? What if Garrett Mitchell plays all year and hits 25 bombs, right? What if Bryce Terang takes another power surge and he hits 30 home runs in a season? We can do a lot of what if and all we want. But the fact of the matter is, we very well may be in the exact same boat going into next year, into the playoffs of going, well, this looks like the exact same team we saw last year. And now we're going to have to wait and see how it all plays out again. People are mad at me for all this over Eugenio Suarez. He sucks. Okay. 49 and 118. Can't wait to see what Brewers player does that next year. It'll take 3 Brewers players probably to get to 49 and 118 before it's all said and done. The other part about this is Yelich, which you brought up. That was about as healthy as he's been in a long time in a Brewers uniform. But put up great numbers. But again, is he going to be able to stay healthy again for like that for a whole nother season? I don't know.
Keep him at DH.
He's another year older, so we'll have to wait and see. All right, coming up next, take a quick time out. Come back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Speaking of Wendy's, when the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast. Get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. NFL and ESPN get in bed together. Is it actually good for anybody other than them? That's next. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. C. Sparky Fiver along with you. Charlie, use the other side of the glass. We are up short, up against it here because I talked too long in the last, 50 minutes of this hour.
What's new, dude?
Right, yeah, I threw that up there. Hey, can you feel it? It's the thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam, a game-winning touchdown, a buzzer-beating three. And Sparky, you know the feeling. And there's only one place to experience that raw exhilaration, the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Catch all the action in a supreme space with dozens of sports betting kiosks, cool drinks, luxury seating, great food, fiery atmosphere, and a monster video wall, 2,000 square feet, over 30 sporting events at one time. Only at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. More info at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 years of age or older to enter the casino. And last night, or not last night, but over the weekend was the Royal Rumble. That was in Saudi Arabia, and they had that going on. Remember, that was a special party where you get to go watch it, couple of beverages, got some food, get to watch it with Kevin Nash, WWE legend, and the one and only Josh Albright was there from the Inside Wisconsin Sports Morning Show. And with his NWO shirt on, NWO hat, getting a picture with Kevin Nash, loving life. So he was very excited, and that sold out quickly. And speaking of which, if you want to go check out the game on Sunday, you can still reserve your seat now ahead of time by simply going to Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. There is a nominal fee. That goes towards your food and beverage costs for the night, and that game takes forever. So there'll be plenty of time for you to eat and drink. So make sure to take advantage of that as well. Right, coming up in the next hour, we are going to get to the NFL and ESPN merger because we have to. We just have to talk about it a little bit. Then after that, we're going to talk about every day, today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, not Thursday because that's the trade deadline. We're going to get into analyzing one of these proposed trade packages. We'll do that coming up at 3:20. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here, Charlie using over there. Still to come, we'll hear from Chad Reuter, NFL draft analyst from NFL.com, coming up at 4 o'clock. Talk about the Senior Bowl over the weekend. And a little Shrine Bowl talk. That happened before the Senior Bowl. And Rick Schlesinger just got done talking. We'll play some clips of him coming up at 4:20. He addresses a lot of different issues. He addresses the app situation for streaming, to which, yes, but he also has an idea on price, so you'll want to stay tuned for that. Also talks about, like, where's this channel going to exist? Is there still going to be the same type of pre and post game show coverage? All the added features that maybe you're going to see here on the MLB games. How many games will they actually televise? So lots of that coming up at 4:20. Can I just quickly, before we get into this ESPN NFL merger thing, just quickly say that I went to the Monster Jam in Milwaukee over the weekend. Monster trucks. Yeah. Monster trucks are such a big thing with kids, man. Like, it was popular when I was a kid, but not like this. Like, now you go into these stores and there's these little monster trucks, and now there's like an Avenger series line of monster trucks and all of that.
Is Gravedigger still around? This one?
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah. Gravedigger was still around, but like they've got all kinds of ones now, right? Like Megalodon, he's been around for a while. That's this like shark one. El Toro Loco been around for a while, but like they got like
I saw like a pink unicorn one the other day too. Yeah.
Yes, correct. That one was there. That one in the last segment of the show, when it goes to hit a jump, out of the unicorn comes all these sparkles and stuff, and confetti comes shooting out. Yeah. All the kids, are all in. They had another one that looked like a school bus. That was really cool. And then there was another one that looked like kind of like a digger that you would see like digging a hole or something, and all yellow. And then whatever the name is of the company that
something for everybody, man.
Yeah. Very, very cool. So it was a lot of fun. I didn't know what to expect at Fiserv Forum, because normally when I go to those things, I feel like it's like 60% full maybe for Monster Jam. That thing was like 85 to 90% full for the Sunday afternoon one. I don't know what Saturday looked like, but Sunday afternoon, it was pretty full with people.
Maybe one of these days I'll just go out to a monster truck. I never went to one when I was a kid, so maybe go to one now. Yeah,
we try to go every year when they come. We didn't go last year, and the 3-year-old had never really been to one. And I was like, I don't know if she's gonna like this or not. Had the headphones on her. Man, she was jumping up and down, clapping, pointing. She right away, like the unicorn one, that was hers. That was the one she was going to root for. And then you can vote on your phone. So all the kids get their parents' phones out, and then they can vote from 10 to 0 based on every one.
Oh, that's cool, too. Yeah. I didn't know it was so interactive.
Interactive, too. And then they've got the motorcycles now that do stunts and stuff in between the monster truck stuff.
Yeah, give me a few beers, have a good time at the monster truck rally. All
yes. Right. Every parent seemingly has a beer in hand.
You gotta have to.
Yes, a beer and a thing of popcorn, and they're good, and then the kids are good, all sugared up on whatever they have. So yeah, it was a lot of fun for sure. All right, so let's talk about this NFL ESPN merger. We knew this was coming, and it was just a matter of time for it to get approved and so forth. Now, I'm going to just go over this briefly here, and then I will tell you concerns that I think I have on this. ESPN's purchase of NFL Network and other league digital assets has been finalized after government regulators approved the transaction. The NFL and ESPN officially announced the closing of the deal Saturday night, which is fine. ESPN acquires NFL Network, NFL Fantasy, and the rights to distribute the Red Zone channel to cable and satellite operators. The league will get a 10% equity stake in ESPN. This is where I get concerned. NFL Network, which has nearly 50 million subscribers, will be included in ESPN's direct-to-consumer product, which launched in August, shortly after the deal was first announced. The NFL Red Zone channel will be distributed by ESPN to cable and satellite operators. However, the NFL will continue to own, operate, and produce the channel and retain the rights to distribute the channel digitally. ESPN would also get rights to the Red Zone brand, meaning Red Zone channels for college football, basketball, or other sports could be coming in the future. NFL Fantasy Football will merge with ESPN Fantasy Football, giving ESPN the official fantasy football game of the league. NFL Network will still air 7 games per season. 4 of ESPN's games, including some that are in overlapping windows on Monday nights, will move to the NFL Network. ESPN will license 3 additional games that will be carried on NFL Network. This is where I'm a little bit concerned here. Everybody already is paying for all of these different dumb apps on their phone or on their laptop or whatever device you may have that you're having these apps on, your TVs. This ESPN direct-to-consumer deal is interesting because now, depending on what they can now put on there, now you can increase that fee to go along with it. Now you can sell commercial advertising into it if you're ESPN. You can break it up and split it however you want. I have the Disney bundle, right? So Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN. So WWE over the weekend had Royal Rumble. And my 9-year-old, who's never watched wrestling a day in his life, got the wrestling video game and now is like obsessed with wrestling. He's like, can I watch the pay-per-view? Blah, blah, blah. We never let him watch it. I could not get it to work. Like, I could not figure this out, right? So then I was told, well, no, you have to pay more additionally per month, like $50-some a month if you want access to the pay-per-views. So then I go online and I see people complaining about they can't find it. And so do I have to pay all this money plus $30 in order to watch it? So they missed out on a bunch of people because a lot of people were confused and trying to figure this out. And the answer obviously was, should have bought tickets to the Potawatomi Sportsbook and been in the annex. You wouldn't have had this problem. But at some point, the idea of pricing people out is going to hit them square in the face. Now, when this happens, I don't know. But at some point, it is. You know what the other thing that's going to be said about this is? They're not going to keep all those people from NFL Network. There's no chance. There's already rumblings that Kyle Brandt, who does Good Morning Football, is going to be matched up with Peter Schrager, who's already at ESPN, and they're probably going to end up with a show of their own out of this. And several of those NFL Network people very well may be pushed out and lose their gigs because there's no sense to duplicate what's on ESPN and NFL Network. Why am I having competing insiders against each other on both networks? That doesn't make any sense. Why am I paying all these guys for? I don't need to pay all these guys. So do you need Palacero and Rappaport and Schefter and Schrager and all these other guys that are insiders, or can I get away with having 2? And these other guys can go to Yahoo Sports or go wherever they want to go, and we're going to be king of the hill regardless. I don't need 4. Do I need all of these NFL Network desk people and anchors? Probably not anymore. So, again, a lot of good talent is going to be hitting the streets, which is the case, again, a lot of media nowadays. But for me, from a fan perspective, kind of stinks, if we're being honest. It just does. Like, I'm not a big fan of this. I get everybody's in it to make more money. NFL's in it to make even more money than they have already because they don't have enough. And ESPN's in it trying to drive their direct-to-consumer app to get it off the ground and going so more people buy it.
I think with how much ESPN has pushed their podcasts lately over the past 3 to 4 years, I think they're going to be able to find spots for a lot of these people. I think just on their NBA coverage alone, you see how many insiders that they have and how they spread them out across all their different platforms. That I don't think they'll have that much of a problem doing that for the NFL. At the same time, there are still going to be people that are going to lose their jobs, and there's going to be guys that you think are worse than maybe somebody else that's going to get a certain spot over that person on like a game day coverage type of role where they're just an entertaining kind of personality. I just think that ESPN at this point, they're kind of, to your point, yes, it's going to shoot themselves in the foot the more that they raise these prices. But because they control this monopoly and because all these other streaming services are all really talking to each other, they're not competing with each other. They just all keep raising prices. It's not really anything about whether or not you need to beat out another one. What they'll do is just drop the prices for 2 years. And then 2 years later, raise the prices again until people get mad about it again, and then drop the price. They're just going to keep doing that because nobody's keeping them in check. And when you have a situation like this where the government's involved in bringing ESPN and NFL together in this situation, it's kind of hard to see where that direction is going to be.
I'm curious. Will we be alive, you more likely than me, to where everybody will be connecting the cords again? Because we went from the cord cutters, it's cheaper and I can handpick what I want. versus, you know what, to hell with this. I'm going to pay to have Spectrum or DirecTV and get a lot of what I want to get and be done with all these other apps, because by the time I pay for everything, I'm paying more than I'd be paying for cable and everything else anyhow, and I'm going to go back to plugging stuff in. I just wonder if the 20 and 30-something-year-olds out there that cut the cord and did all this stuff and got rid of it will eventually end up having to go back. Because if I was Spectrum or DirecTV and I'm watching this, I'm going, this isn't going to last much longer. Eventually, they're going to price themselves right out of the market. Everybody's going to be able to afford like a couple of apps maybe, and that's going to be it. Not everybody is going to be having 6 to 8 apps anymore.
I think part of the problem is, though, that a lot of those cords that we're talking about cutting, they aren't lowering their prices either. Part of the reason that people were switching to streaming, part of the reason people were streaming or switching to the streaming services in the first place is because they are initially very cheaper and you could choose what you wanted to do. Think about
it, Charlie. If they're charging, say it's $100 a month or whatever it is, right? So it's $100 a month. For me to get what I wanted over the weekend, I'd have to pay $55 a month for that. And I still don't have all the sports that I want necessarily. So now I have that one. Then I got to go get Fubo or whatever that one is. I want Fox. Then I got to go get Peacock for NBC and some other sport. I mean, you start adding it up, you're going to be right there in the same boat as you are.
But I think people my age, that's where I was getting to, is it's just you aren't buying it then. You're just not buying anything. You're sitting at a spot where I have 2 streaming services that I pay for on my own with my girlfriend. That's it.
And then your parents help with the rest of them.
Well, a couple of them. We don't really use, we probably use 3 streaming services.
But you know what else is happening?
We limit ourselves. And a lot of people my age are doing that. They're just limiting themselves on what they're getting so that they're not overspending on that.
But the other thing these apps are starting to do now is it doesn't go out of your house. So if you're sitting in your house and you're logged
That's part of the reason I don't have anymore.
They're not going to allow you to log in on another house. So before, mom and son or mom and daughter are sharing one sign-in, those days are coming to an end because they finally have figured out that, you know what, we're not going to allow you to share anymore because we want all the money.
Well, and what I think they're also learning, though, right now is that a lot of people, again, people my age just go, well, okay, I guess I'm not having the streaming service. And my parents, when 3 of their 4 kids aren't watching on that streaming service and they're not using it all the time, they just cancel it then because they're done with it too. So these companies are going to start losing that money eventually by doing stuff like that.
I don't know, man. I'm not a big fan of this, especially not a big fan when a league gets in bed with a organization which it now invests into. And now when it comes to TV rights deals and everything else, you're telling me they're not going to lean towards the company that they have a 10% investment in at the end of the day? Why wouldn't they? I would. If I was the NFL, oh, wait, I can give ESPN all the NFC games and not have them on Fox anymore, or the AFC games and not be on CBS anymore. Yeah, let's do that and keep them in-house. Like, the Super Bowl every year is going to be on ESPN going forward, right? And we'll simulcast it on ABC and keep it in Disney. We're no longer putting that up for rights. We're just going to keep it in-house and sell the advertising and do it all of ourselves, and we're going to go that way. Don't you think that's eventually going to happen?
I think so, but that's why somebody and some group has to start keeping these streaming services in check too.
It's supposed to be the government.
It's supposed to be, but they're the ones that are pushing this. They were the ones that accepted this merger. That's the reason it's going through today, is because the government said it's okay that it can go through. We're not getting the checks and balances for this type of stuff, and I understand that. Just throughout the world, there's a lot of other things going on that are more important than whether or not you can watch your sporting event on TV. But at the same time, companies like this know that, and they're taking advantage of the fact that the world doesn't care what they're doing right now. So they're going to keep jacking the prices. Somebody has to start caring about what they're doing.
You know, the other thing that I'm curious to see is, from a sports perspective, at what point do sports fans are like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. I'm done spending all the money to go to the games. I'm done spending all the money on the apps. I'm done with all of this. Like, I don't have to have sports in my life. I wonder if at some point it's going to start pricing the sports fan out, because till this point, us suckers, all of us, you listening, me, Charlie, we continue to spend the money because we have to have the sports in our lives, right? That's what balances us. For me and Charlie, that's what makes us our living. But that's what it's been for me my whole life. I live in the sports world. I love it, addicted to it, whatever you want to call it. I just wonder if at some point they start to lose fans in general because people simply don't want to buy for it. You get out of high school and you're struggling in college to make ends meet and first job and all of that. How many of those people are like, well, I can't afford to watch it anymore, so I'm just not going to. I'm going to watch a bunch of movies on Netflix instead and not worry about the sporting. And then when they do get enough money to get back into it, they're just like, I didn't miss it for 10 years. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to continue on my life. I just think at some point there could be a trickle-down event. Hey, the big game is almost here. There's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season out right with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 on the Prize Pick app by simply using the code SPARKY, SPARKY. Again, use code SPARKY, SPARKY. It's daily fantasy, right? More or less on daily stat projections on the Prize Picks app. And when you're there, you can do the power play, right? Which means you can't get any wrong, but you can hit it for big money. Or you can do the flex play, which means you don't get as much on the payout, but if you get one wrong, you still win. That's up to you, however you want to do it. I'm somebody that doesn't get all of them right most of the time, so I always do the flex plays. It gives me better chances of getting my money back. And you can find your community on Prize Picks as well. The new social feeds feature. You can share Prize Picks with your friends, copy lineups from winners with a single copy lineups you like, or use them as inspiration to your own picks. Plus, Prize Picks now has easy payouts. If your player gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code SPARKY, SPARKY, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. Jeff in Greendale, you are next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. What's up, Jeff?
Hey, good afternoon, Sparky. How you been, man?
Good.
Good. Hey, I just want to touch on what you're talking about with the whole, I'll just say streaming in general.
Yep.
And everything. As I was telling Charlie, I literally have not really watched sports up close. The only thing I had a tough time with was watching Brewers baseball because it's so long, because I just like to watch it. But I've literally gone more to listening or just going for highlights, because now you got people are just, hitting the highlights of the game. So I'll listen to it more than I actually go to watch anymore. And I know what's his name is it RSN. Looks like they're going to go down liquidation. So I don't know who's going to take, where you can watch the Brewers.
The Brewers that got announced. The Brewers that got announced earlier today. Rick Schlesinger, president of the Brewers operation, talked to me. We'll play that back 1 hour from right now. The MLB is taking over broadcast rights for the Brewers. So there's going to be a separate channel, a separate streaming app, all that fun stuff. More details on that coming up at 4:20.
Okay. Well, thanks for that update. I didn't know. But yeah, in general though, it's just, I've kind of like you touched on was who's going to start walking away and say, I'm done with sport. That was me a couple of years ago. Does it mean I still don't cheer and, I can watch local channels for the Packers and, like I said, listen more or watch for highlights is more what I do just because the pricing is going up so much. As I told Charlie, it's like, I like the Bucks. I grew up with them through the 70s and 80s on up. But it's got the prices I've gotten so bad that I haven't even been to a Bucks game down at the Fiserv Forum because I can't afford to take my kid.
It's not getting any cheaper either.
And they're not. And even when they get bad, they're probably, even when they lower, I'm going to guess, I don't know this, but I'm going to guess even if they lower them, it's going to have to be really low. Otherwise, I can't imagine how much it'll cost when they lower them from what they are.
See, that's the thing. Thanks for the call. It's great that you brought that up. I literally had this conversation with, who was it today? Man, my memory's so bad. Somebody. I talked to somebody about this, about the Bucks. And it was the idea, we had Peter Fagan on. Remember, we talked about it. I said, so Peter, are they now going to lower the parking prices, right? To make no. Okay, well, the Suns have a $2 menu at concessions. Are y'all going to lower that now? No. Fagan was not moving on it. Now, Fagan's no longer the president, so we'll see what this new guy, Gessling, does in charge. Tell you right now, no Giannis equals ghost town. Which means you better figure out how you're going to make this more family affordable going forward. If that means your parking lot prices come down to $10, so be it. If that means you have $5 food menus in concession stands around that stadium, and you could still have all the other ones that want to charge whatever they want, but you have to have a couple of booths where you get the $5 food items, right? Hot dogs, popcorn, that type of stuff. You do that, now you can sell to the families that could never get there before because it was too expensive, now to potentially get their butts back in without lowering ticket prices. Ticket prices are going to stay the same, but we're dramatically cutting how much parking is, and we're dramatically cutting concession stand prices. Now you got a chance of putting butts in seats, even though you're not going to be any good. I think that has to be a consideration at some point here for the Milwaukee Bucks, even though it's unheard of, right? The Falcons have their $5 menu in the NFL. The Cavaliers, when they had LeBron, their parking was $5. $5 when they had LeBron James. $5. The Bucks, I couldn't tell you the last time it was $5. It had to have been in like, I don't know, the 80s maybe? Because for as long as I've been going to games, it's always been 10 or more.
Well, and it's also kind of crazy because Milwaukee just has such a great food scene. Wisconsin has such a great food scene of just local companies that I bet would be willing to help out and give you deals as the Milwaukee Bucks, be the pretzel sponsor for the Milwaukee Bucks, the Milwaukee Pretzel Company. Really easy. Any of these beer companies around should be easy to find ways to lower these prices, and they just choose not to.
But those people are already in Fiserv Forum with booths. They're already there, and then they're charging whatever they want to charge at the end of the day. Oh. Hit the right number. That's my fault. Greg in Brickfield. You're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line. What's up, Greg?
Hey, Sparky. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet.
Just listening to you about cut the cord and not cutting the cord, and I'm 47 years old, so I'm in between the cutting and the non-cutting. And I never cut the cord. Now, I'm on Spectrum, and I get all those apps included in my Spectrum service.
Perfect.
So I get Paramount, Peacock, you name it, HBO Max. Yeah, you get commercials here and there, but it's the same. It's probably a lot cheaper than getting all those apps like you were saying.
So how much are you paying?
You know.
Greg, how much are you paying per month?
With high-speed internet, we upgrade the internet. It's like $240 a month.
So it's probably like $120 for cable then, or something like that.
That's my guess,
Yeah, somewhere in that area then. All right, very good. Thanks for the call. And again, if you took that and then added all the app prices onto it and everything else, would it be cheaper than you getting the apps on your own? Would you actually be saving money? I would have to look at a Spectrum bill to see what that is. But at some point, they too have to figure out how they're going to counter this, right? I mean, it's a good idea to be like, okay, we're going to include all these apps in if you come here and join us, and we're going to save you that much money from having to go spend it on that.
You got to take advantage of people like me and the people in my age group that are saying, we're just not getting anything at this point. We're going to watch YouTube for the rest of our lives because we grew up with that. So that's easier.
Charlie Sounds of the Day brought to you by Prize Picks comes up in about 20 minutes or so. Coming up next, today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, we're going to evaluate one of these trade packages or trade ideas that different people have as we get closer to the trade deadline in the NBA. 2 o'clock on Thursday is that trade deadline. So we found one. I mean, there's a ton of them we could pick from. We found one involving the Miami Heat that has a ton of stuff coming back to the Milwaukee Bucks. We'll talk about whether or not that is good enough for Giannis in your mind. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky here, Charlie using other side of the glass. I'm pretty proud of Tommy Wirtz, I got to say. He's hanging out here waiting to do the Wisconsin Sports wrap-up at 5 o'clock, and he was just involved in the Zoom with Rick Schlesinger a little while ago. So he's in here. He's been in here several times since the start of the show.
Yeah, 2 or 3 times.
Not one time has he brought up the Suarez conversation. Not once.
Well, I think he's just done having it with you
That's
at
good.
this point.
That's good.
I think
That's
you
good.
wore him down.
Every time he walks in here, I was like, oh, here we go. It's going to happen now. Nope. It has not happened. Not one time. I'm very, very happy with that. Okay, so we decided today in our pre-show meeting, Charlie and I, that we were going to do a different trade proposal, whatever you want to say, each day between now and Thursday. Because by the time we get on the air Thursday, the trade deadline will have happened at 2 o'clock. Then they'll push some through after 2 o'clock. So probably by like 2:30 on Thursday, we'll know everything that's happened, whether Giannis is here, not here, whatever. So here is one of the deals that we found. This is from Jake Weinbach. Now, I still can't figure out if this dude's legit or not. I have no idea. But 17,000 followers. People tend to like him. I've seen multiple people compliment him, yada, yada, yada. I've followed him for a while. So this is what he says. Miami's expected trade package for Giannis. You ready?
Let's hear it.
Tyler Hero.
Mm-hmm.
Khalil Ware.
Mm-hmm.
So that gives you that center, right? Jaime Jaquez Jr. Casperis, how do you say his last name? Jacashonis?
Jacashonis.
Yeah, sure, close. Terry Rozier, don't want him. Then first-round pick in 2030, first-round pick in 2032, both of the Miami Heat. 2026 first-round swap rights via Miami, and 2031 first-round swap rights via Miami. Jake then says, I don't think this is enough to satisfy the Bucks, but I also think the Heat will attempt to come up with creative ways to add 1 or 2 first-round picks to this package by amending future pick protections or incentivizing other teams to help facilitate a deal. Now, let's go over this again. Based on this, you are talking about 9 basketball players for 1.
Yeah. Put it all together with all the draft picks. You're talking about an entire team, entire rotation. Yeah. For one guy, that's what Giannis is worth, is it not? You don't think Giannis is worth an entire rotation of basketball players? Especially since some of them, Terry Rozier won't play. No. He's in the whole situation. He'll be off this team.
Yes.
Some of those first round picks, I think like 1 to 2 of them, especially if Horse is doing the draft, probably aren't going to work out at some point. Jaime Jaquez has taken steps backwards since his rookie year.
Yes.
Jacashonis hasn't really shown very much since he's been drafted.
Nope.
And Ware and Hero. They've been good so far this season. I'd be happy with those 2 guys being the centerpieces. Yeah.
Ware got pulled out of the rotation. He's playing like 5 minutes a night, maybe.
I think he's one of those guys that what we've seen so far is going to be a little emotional, kind of like Jonathan Kuminga. People still want Jonathan Kuminga, even though he gets pulled out of rotations all the time too.
When Ware came out in the draft, I wanted Ware, right? I did. I knew the Bucks weren't going to get him, but I like Khalil Ware coming out of college. I did. He's long, he's athletic. In college, he could shoot a little bit from outside. That was still developing, block shots. So he has everything from a physical talent standpoint that you would want in a stretch, whether that be a 4 or whether that be a 5. I like him better as a 5. So that would be something long-term that you would build around. And if everything falls together, maybe you end up with a star-type player. The problem is there has to be more going on for Spoelstra to pull him out. There just has to be. Like either he's not working hard or there's other stuff going on in the locker room that we don't know about. As talented as he is, you're not playing unless you did something wrong or you aren't doing something that Spoelstra is wanting you to do. That's what concerns me about that. If he was coming from an organization that wasn't good to begin with, and I really didn't know the coach, I'd be like, yeah, I'll roll the dice. In this situation, if you're in Spoelstra's doghouse, I don't know if I really want to deal with you. I'll be honest with you, I don't. Because they do things right from that perspective. They demand a lot. They demand you to play on both sides of the floor. They demand you to put in the work. They do it the right way in Miami. So if you get into that dude's doghouse, I don't really know if I want to say, oh yeah, he's going to absolutely work. Like I don't know.
You don't know, but also Are we watching this Bucks team right now, man?
No.
I'm willing to give anybody a chance.
Nobody's watching this.
Nobody. The games that I see, again, it just feels
No.
like half of the game at least. These players just aren't putting anything out onto the court with or without Giannis at this point. I'm willing to give anybody a shot. If it's an angry guy that wants to prove himself, let him come here and try it out.
If Giannis is on this team after Thursday, just tell him to stay home and work on it and get better for next year.
He said he wants to play. He said if he's healthy and he's going to be playing no matter what.
No. I mean, that's just the threat so he gets out of here because he knows if he plays, he's going to ruin lottery position potentially. I don't want him to play. I don't. I want as best of a chance as possible to have a top 3 pick. You're not going to get 1. That's impossible.
No.
But you can get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 for sure in a pick swap. So it's going to be your pick or the Pelicans pick. The Hawks get the better of the 2 picks like we've talked about. You get the other. So if the Pelicans end up with 1 and the Bucks end up with 2, Bucks get to keep their pick and pick 2. The Bucks end up with 1 and the Pelicans end up with 5. You get 5. That's still a hell of a pick. But if you end up getting into the damn play-in at the end and getting into the 10 seed, you ruin everything you had a chance at getting.
Right now, where you're sitting, you have a chance at a top 10 pick, no matter which of the 3 picks that you get.
Correct.
It's pretty crazy.
And if you don't have Giannis, you're going to have a chance at a top 5 pick because you may not win another game.
Yep.
Trowel, north side of Milwaukee. You're next on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Do you like that deal for Giannis?
No, not that one. Sparky, I am pissed off. I am pissed off because before that report came out about him saying that he doesn't want to sit out when he's healthy, he wants to come back and play basketball. Yep. They had just started talking about, well, if I was them, I would just sit Giannis out and tell him don't even come back off of that. And then the report comes out from Ramon Shelburne saying Giannis does not want to sit out. He wants to get back, compete to win. He wants to play to win. And all. So I'm like, just trade him already. Like that. Like people are saying, we don't know if he wants to be traded. The guy he doesn't want to be here. And I'm telling you right now, Sparky, if the Bucks wait to the offseason trade, I'll tell you, they're going to have an issue with him about playing. That's one. And he can get injured. Then you just screwed up any type of value that you're going to get back from him. If he gets injured, you're getting nothing. He's going to leave free next year.
Right.
But he's going to be super petty this offseason with his agent and them because I'm telling you, he wanted to get traded in the offseason. And the Bucks were not going to play the weight ball he wanted to play and get him out of here. He didn't want to come back. He didn't want to play with this team. That's why he's been sold away off and on. He's been all season long. This is not how this guy has been the last 12 years he's been here. This season has been all off kilter because he wanted the Bucks to trade him, but then when it all came out, they didn't want to trade him. Now they got to trade. Now he's got to come deal with it, and you can just tell the feistiness with him how he's talking about. I don't want to talk about it. No, all this stuff. But the guy don't want to be here, and he's going to refute every report when they come back saying he asked for a trade. He's going to come back and say, no, I never asked for a trade. I'm not going to ask for a trade. Yeah, you're not going to ask out of your mouth for a trade, but we all know what time it is, Giannis. Come on now. Anybody who doesn't believe he doesn't want to get traded, it's just smoking on something. I don't know what the new drug is.
Hey, I don't know either, Trell. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Just beware, Mr. Gessling, president of the Bucks. When you trade him, they're going to ask you this question. Did he ask for a trade or did you do it on your own? And I'm telling you right now, if you answer, we did it on our own, you might as well just leave. Pack your bags and get out. If you want to save face at all, you better make sure that it's he asked. Or if you want to spare him, his agents asked for him to be moved. Doesn't matter. But if you come out and you say publicly, we moved on because we didn't think we could surround him as a championship team, y'all must also just resign and go somewhere else. Let somebody else come in here and run this team because you've ruined your reputation right off. It's all done. All credibility is lost in this fan base if you come out publicly and say, we traded him because we couldn't get him to a championship caliber team, so we moved on and took the best package we could. If that's your answer to that question, just resign. Go somewhere else. Go back to Cleveland or wherever you came from. We don't need it. We just don't. So, or if they ask for a trade, be truthful and say they asked for a trade and don't care about hurting feelings. But be honest. When somebody asks you, and they're going to ask you, why did you trade him? Did he ask for a trade? That question's going to come up. And you can choose one of two ways, either to answer it honestly or not. Just think twice before you make that pick. You literally before you make that decision of how you are going to answer it. You literally just got here. And it's great that you're from Wisconsin and you're a Bucks fan. All that's wonderful. But the next move you make will be the largest one in Bucks history since the trade of Jabbar. And how you handle it publicly is going to mean everything going forward. Everything.
Nico Harrison got fired because of the way he handled the Luka Doncic trade afterwards. I don't even think it was really the trade itself. I think it was the way he went about afterwards, just kind of defending himself, being defensive every single time somebody asked him a question about it. You just have to go out there and be truthful in a situation like this. Jim Ozarski said this on his own personal podcast the other day. He was discussing about how the Bucks don't really need to look at this as a situation where they owe Giannis and to get him to the spot he wants to be, or to get the trade that they feel like Giannis thinks is fair or anything like that. They've tried. They've gone out there and given him players alongside him. They've gone out there and changed this entire lineup, trying to find ways to make Giannis and this team win another championship. And yes, he is the greatest player in Milwaukee Bucks history, unequivocally. And that is something that nobody can deny. But at the same time, you have to do what's best for you. And if Giannis trusts you and loves you as much as you trust and love Giannis, as you say all the time, then he will be okay with whatever trade you make.
What will weigh more on John Horst's legacy in this town? The championship or what he gets for Giannis?
Championship, I think.
You're not even sure.
I'm not sure. I think it's the championship. I think looking back on it again, I say this all the time. The feeling that I had personally just after they won that championship was euphoria. And I don't think anybody that experienced that whole thing would say any different. And you have to remember John Horst for that. And I think at this point, at this end kind of tenure of his time with the Bucks, because it feels like it's coming to an end here pretty soon too, if Giannis is gone, obviously. I think this is a situation where you can't really blame him when everything we've heard, it's not on him to make this decision.
I got Nikolai Law talking. Text line is moving along here. 715 Jonah from River Falls. What up, Jonah? Here's a hot take. Include a coach in the Giannis sweepstakes trade package.
Well, then we'd have to pay a little bit more to the other team if we have to throw.
No, that's fine. Darvin Ham can go, or Rajon Rondo can go. I mean, you can get rid of one of those guys, I guess, if you want. He said a coach. That's what he said. I mean, seriously, nobody's giving you anything for Doc. So it's got to be one of the other guys at this point. 262, I get that Giannis is a top 3 player right now, but the Bucks have completely built their roster around him. I struggle to see Giannis fitting in wherever he may go. This is his team. Might not be the case in a new home. Yes, that's correct. And I'm telling you that I don't care what city you're in, on Sports Talk Radio, that is a conversation right now. If you're in Miami, how do him and Bam play together? Like, what does that look like? And then where are you getting the perimeter scoring from if it's him and Bam? And remember, him and Bam have the same agent, oh, by the way. So that would make sense that they try to get him to be with his guy Bam in South Beach and all of that. That makes sense, right? If it's to, where else is he being rumored
Minnesota.
to? Well, I ain't going to be Minnesota. The Knicks apparently seem like they're kind of in on it, but maybe not as much. The Warriors, right. Okay. So Giannis and Draymond. Giannis going to play the 5? Draymond going to play the 3?
A lot of reports say Draymond would be the one that would be coming back too in that trade, which I know you wouldn't be happy about.
No. I saw Jimmy Butler. I didn't see Draymond. But if Draymond's coming back, absolutely not. Then no. Draymond would retire.
I think he's not going to come back here. His podcast that if that were to happen, somebody asked him in the comments, he said he would come to play in Milwaukee, be happy to be a part of the trade, he said, but then he would re-sign with the Warriors as fast as possible.
Sure. As he would want to, and as I would want him to.
He's very open about that. So I like that. I'd be okay.
Yeah, I'd be fine with him leaving too. As soon as he gets here, he can just stay out there. He doesn't even have to come play for us as far as I'm concerned. Coming up next, Charlie's Sounds of the Day. Charles Barkley had an interesting take on this whole deal with the Milwaukee Bucks and how this all went down with Giannis. You'll hear that coming up next. Can you feel it? It's a thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam, game-winning touchdown, buzzer-beating 3. You know the feeling. And there's only one place to experience that raw exhilaration. Potawatomi Sportsbook. Catch all the action in a supreme space with dozens of sports betting kiosks, cool drinks, luxury seating, great food, fire atmosphere, and a monster video wall, 2,000 square foot wall for 30 different games at one time, only at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. More info at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino. Again, if you want to go somewhere to watch the game on Sunday, this is the best place to go. I promise you. With all the prop bets and everything else going on, all you got to do to reserve your seat, go to Potawatomi.com. Potawatomi.com. You can reserve your seat in the sports book. Nominal fee, but it goes towards your food and beverage check. And I'm telling you, food's unmatched. It is so good. 48 beers on tap, homemade desserts and pastries, over a dozen different specialty cocktails. You will have the time of your life. Go online now, reserve your seat, Potawatomi.com. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, part of the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Sparky with you, Charlie using over there, other side of the glass. Thanks for tuning in. It is that time. As always, we're late, so I apologize. I always have to apologize to Charlie because I always screw this up, but here we go.
What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, let's get to it. Top 3 sound clips brought to you by Prize Picks. What you got there, Charlie?
All right, I'll do the couple that I have for the Bucks first, and then if we got time for the third, we'll get to it. First up, we'll talk about Charles Barkley joining Sirius XM radio, NBA Today, the show on there, and he was discussing the Bucks doing everything they can in order to keep Giannis and why it may be time for a breakup.
He's not hell of a great as far as booing the fans and doing the other stuff, but they've got to break this thing up and do what's best for everybody. He's a great player and a great kid. He don't want to alienate Milwaukee, which I admire and respect that. But they got to find a way to make the best deal possible going forward. You got to give them credit, Justin. They have tried everything. You know, they went out and got Dame Lillard. It didn't work. They went out and got Miles Turner. It didn't work. They gave both his brothers jobs. That definitely didn't work.
That's right. They did everything in their power to get this done. That's why I say everyone wants to be mad at John Horst and everything else. I'm telling you, nobody would have been able to pull off some of this crap that he pulled off. And to come up with the idea of how to make it work, how to pull the right levers with different teams, to pull off 3-team trades and all this other stuff to get the guys to make Giannis happy this entire time. He deserves a lot of credit.
Not
for
even
that.
just 3-team trades and stuff like that, but these are like legends for their teams.
Yes.
Damian Lillard in Portland. That's hard to take a player like that out of Portland
and keep it under wraps, and nobody knew until that happened.
Miles Turner, maybe not a legend, but a mainstay in Indiana.
They
the fans
assumed
loved
he was
him.
going back to Indiana.
Right. He loved being there. The fans loved having him around, and they snuck him out of there too. It's hard to do what John Horst and this Bucks front office has done.
Totally agree. What's next?
Next up, we're going to hear from our good friend Bill Reuter from Reuter Than You, and he was talking about Doc Rivers, who he's the biggest fan of, right, Sparky?
Not at all.
I know this has been out there, but I want to reiterate it. I want to put it. I want to remind you, Adrian Griffin, 2 years ago, was 30-13, and had the second best offense in the NBA when they decided to move on from him. And the reason, the idea, the sales pitch was Doc Rivers is a championship coach. He's going to take you another level. But that's not what he is. He's a con man. He's a con artist. In the same way that maybe John Gruden was in the National Football League. The game has passed Doc by as it relates to basketball. But the game has never passed him by as it relates to the game within the game, the politics of it. Now, something that I've been told, that has been suggested to me, that I don't have locked down, that I'm not Shams reporting, but I have certainly heard that John Horst, the general manager in Milwaukee, who got an extension in the last year, that he didn't necessarily want Doc Rivers to be the head coach, but that Doc did a very nice job utilizing his time as a television personality at ESPN to ingratiate himself with the ownership of the Milwaukee Bucks, and that his coup against Adrian Griffin involved general manager Bucks GM John Horst, but was also an end around. So I don't know, maybe you blame Horst, maybe you blame the front office. I think maybe you blame the Bucks ownership. The reality is they brought in a cancer. And I told you this was going to happen. They thought Doc Rivers was the solution. He was the problem.
Okay, so we all know Reuter doesn't like Doc. Reuter's never liked Doc, ever. Every time Reuter comes on our show, he was just on our show promoting his new Substack and the podcast Reuter Than You.
That we should keep Doc, though. He was happy for
yes,
Doc, right?
he did. He did say it there, but he said, hey, if you want to lose and get a better lottery pick, you want to leave Doc there because you will then lose. And that's exactly, I don't think they've won a game since Reuter been on when he suggested that. I don't think they've won a single game.
Haven't even really got close.
The idea of ownership being involved in the Doc hiring, 1,000%. They are involved in everything. I'm telling you right now, and I've been saying this for over a year. This is not a John Horst thing. This is a front office team decision type deal. They're all involved in making decisions. They were all involved in stretching Lillard. They were all involved in signing Miles Turner. They were all involved in trading for Lillard. They were all involved in trading for Holiday. This was all team efforts in the front office. None of this was done, oh, John, do what you think is best and walk away and talk to you at the end of the year. He doesn't get any of that leeway. None of it. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Coming up next, Green and Gold update time with our guy, Chad Reuter, NFL draft analyst for NFL.com. We'll talk about the Senior Bowl straight ahead.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Welcome in as we broadcast live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Charlie Hughes producing Other Side of the Glass. Sparky with you. Still to come, we'll hear from Rick Schlesinger, President of Business Operations for your Milwaukee Brewers. He talked a little bit earlier today about what the news of the day is, which is the Brewers now will be on MLB, or be controlled by MLB as far as their TV and streaming rights go going forward. What does that mean? What will the new app be? How much is it going to cost us? How many games will we see? What about spring training games? Will there be a pre and a post like there was before? All those fun answers coming up for you in the next segment when we hear from Rick Schlesinger, who addressed the media a little bit earlier today. Play some clips for you there. Things Sparky missed comes up at 4:40, brought to you by the Milwaukee Admirals. And before we get to Chad Reuter, let me tell you about our friends over there at Wendy's. Oh, buddy, let me tell you, those chicken tenders are something amazing. In a world of tenders, Wendy's decided to make something more juicy, more crispy, and more dippable. Chicken tenders are here. Some may call them tendies, and yes, it's fun to say and even more fun to eat. And Wendy's new chicken tendies come with an insane new sauce lineup. Wendy's signature, new sweet chili, or new scorching hot, or choose one of the classics, honey barbecue, creamy ranch, or honey mustard. Whatever you choose, they're the perfect vessel to dip all your tendies in. Wendy's new chicken tenders are so juicy, crispy, and dippable. Remember them forever. Gotta have tendies. It's got to be Wendy's. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that is all. Streaming live on X, right there on X and YouTube at WI Sports Radio. His bald-headed self. He is Chad Reuter joining us. Follow him on X at Chad_Reuter, NFL draft analyst for NFL.com. How are we doing today, Chad?
Don't be mad because I'm beautiful, Sparky. I mean,
let me tell you something. I was in a break earlier in this show. This is the Green and Gold update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, by the way. I was in a break earlier in the show, and I work with two guys in their 20s, right? So they think they're funny. And I've got my hair, and Tommy Wirtz, who does our leadoff show before Brewers games, and now is doing our post-game show with Tim Allen as well, and then he produces for Mason Crosby. He goes, Sparky, you got a streak of gray hair across the top of your head? I was like, what are you talking about? So then I put my head down. Here you go, look. And Charlie's like, yep, yeah, you sure do. You got a streak of gray hair. Yeah, I got gray hair on the side. So, I mean, if I had no hair, I wouldn't have streaks of gray. So you have that going for you.
I just have them down in the beard now, but that's okay.
Yeah,
I've told Sparky to go bald.
My head is way too big to be shaving my head, man. They no. There'd be a lot of bad jokes. No, I'm not going to do that. Chad, let's talk about all things draft a little bit here. Now, obviously, the draft combine comes up at the end of this month. We'll be down in Indianapolis for that, so that'll be a lot of fun. Then you get your one-on-one workouts at the different university campuses and all of that. Then the draft finally gets here at the end of April. The Packers without a first-round pick this year because of the Micah Parsons deal. Yeah. But even if they had a first-round pick, I feel like the Senior Bowl is still a big deal because the Packers draft a lot of players that play in the Senior Bowl year to year.
Yeah, last couple of years, Baron Sorrell, Anthony Belton, Jonathan Bullard, Marshawn Lloyd, they get second, third round.
No, we don't
guys.
say his name's not spoken on this radio station until he plays a full game or two. No, we don't
exactly.
know.
But anyway, they do get guys from the game, and there was plenty of guys they'll be looking at this year down in Mobile. I mean, if you want a cornerback in that second round, you got a couple of guys like Chris Johnson from San Diego State and Charles Demings from Stephen F. Austin, a couple of real smooth corners. Edge rushers, if you want, under Jonathan Gannon, maybe they want a little more speed on the edge and, not worried necessarily about the bulk. So you can get a guy like Logan Fano from Utah to come off the edge for you. A lot of guys they'll be looking. Oh, a defensive tackle, obviously. You're going to want a guy like Rashawn Benny from Michigan, who could be that second or third round pick to play the interior because we saw what happened after Devontae Wyatt went out last year.
Tell me this. There is talk about Quay Walker and him going to free agency. And depending on where you look, ESPN has him as one of the top, 15 free agents or whatever out there. And then you go look at Pro Football Focus. He's like one of the worst graded linebackers from last year. How do you look at Quay Walker and bringing him back or not bringing him back and what it does to this defense?
Well, I think, again, different defensive coordinator might want to see different things in his linebackers. So my guess is they'll let him test the market. If it isn't as hot as maybe projected, and you can get a good deal for him, maybe on a 1 year kind of prove it. It'd be a 3-year deal, but really 1 year in terms of, cap relevance. And then you see what you do there. But I don't think you can go crazy for him at that position. You can find some pretty talented guys coming out in this draft, even early in day 3, late in day 2, that could fill that void if he ends up not resigning.
Edgerrin Cooper, better used in the middle or better used on the edge?
My guess is that he's going to be between the tackles in the new system. He's certainly got the ability to play outside. It's just going to be interesting to see what they're able to acquire both through free agency and the draft. If you're able to keep him inside and find other people to move to the outside, play more of a Sam, where you're doing some coverage, doing some pass rushing, he could handle that role. But I'd like to see him inside and really, really help that run defense, which, as we all know, was not as good as it could have been.
And as we all know, Jonathan Gannon's run defense stunk in Philly and stuck in Arizona as well. It is Chad Reuter, NFL draft analyst with NFL.com, joining us here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Okay, so let's talk about that run defense for a second. So Devontae Wyatt, obviously, every time he went out, their run defense got significantly worse at the end of the day. In my world, when I think of run defense, I think of big fat guys in the middle of the line taking up 2 offensive linemen and letting the linebackers work behind them. Are there a lot of those guys to where you maybe be able to get one of those guys 2nd round, 4th round, 6th round? Because in my mind, you've got to throw a couple of different darts at this position when we get to the draft and try and really hope one of these guys work out.
I think on day 3, you can find, if you're simply looking for a guy to take blocks,
yeah, it's like 340, 6'1", 6'2", something like that. Big guy. Yeah.
So there's a guy named Gary Smith at UCLA that not a lot of people talk about, and he's not the tallest guy, but he just is impossible to move. And that's the kind of guy you want in the middle of your
yes.
Defense. So I think a guy like that late in the 3rd round, you can find like Cam Ball from Arkansas, for example, 4th or 5th round pick. Tim Keenan from Alabama, really strong in the middle of a defense. Probably 4th round pick. So there are guys in the middle of the draft that can fill that role. And, really the Packers have been pretty good at finding guys that after the draft or late, like James Thompson, for example, former Badger at Illinois. He's probably going to get picked on day 3 at some point, but a little bit later, especially coming, off injury stuff. So I think a guy like that would be a fantastic pick in round 5 or 6.
Can we talk about wide receiver, if you don't mind? Now, this is a position here where you look at it and go, wow, they don't really need to take a wide receiver early necessarily, because even without Romeo Doubs there, you still have the 1st round draft pick in Golden last year. You still obviously have Christian Watson. You have Wicks. You have Jaden Reed. You still are more than deep enough. I still think, because of drops and everything else, if you're looking at this and you're the Packers, I still think there's a possibility, sounds crazy, but they may still snag a wide receiver on day 2 of this draft, whether it be 2nd or 3rd round, or maybe early on day 3. Before I get your thoughts on who that might be, I want a specific player evaluation, because I think he screwed himself by staying at Wisconsin. That's Vinny Anthony.
Well, screwed himself. I mean, he's going to get drafted. I think he's be a really good day 3 pick. I don't know if he would ascend. He would have ascended like Skylar Bell, for example, at UConn.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know that would be. And Skylar Bell could be a late 3rd round pick, probably early 4th, something like that. But Vinny would be a really solid middle of day 3 pick. And that was a guy I had written down as a potential Packer. And I've said for the last couple of years, to be honest with you, people, I talk to you and they're like, well, they could probably use another receiver, because I don't necessarily trust the hands of some of the guys they have.
Yep.
Christian Watson's really struggled to stay healthy. And so, look, if you can get – it's all about the value of the guys that are available. Bryce Lance from North Dakota State, if he's available to them in the 3rd round, don't be shocked if they make that pick.
How big is he?
He's 6'3". I mean,
so he's big like Watson.
He's legit. Like, he's got great size. The only reason that he wouldn't be a top 50 pick is he plays at North Dakota State. And if he runs great, he might not even last that long. But Trey Lance's brother, he's been really dominant at receiver. He's moved from from quarterback to receiver while he's with the Bison. And the Bison, and he's been really good. So a guy like that, if you get that value, and again, Skylar Bell, if you want a smaller guy, Ted Hurst from Georgia State, not a lot to talk about guys from Georgia State, but that guy is available to them in the 4th round in terms of big-bodied receiver who can make plays downfield. Yes.
So is that so, Chad? I just want to clarify because I feel like you're leaning one way. So essentially what you're saying is if they go get a receiver on day 2, it has to be more of the body type kind of Christian Watson, a taller, longer player than versus say another guy that looks like Romeo Doubs.
Yes. Well, I mean, Romeo Doubs is a pretty big guy. I mean, he's not a small guy. I think Jaden Reed can fill that. I think you can find slot guys a little bit later. But if you're looking at a receiver that Jordan Love can throw that ball to downfield, and look, Jordan Love had a lot of success, some interceptions, but also a lot of success throwing that ball up and letting his guy make a play. And you need to do that sometimes. And you can get a guy that can get downfield, out-muscle his defender. That's a big plus in that offense. So that's where I would like to see that direction go, at least in the top half of the draft.
NFL draft analyst Chad Reuter from NFL.com joins us here. Green and Gold Update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook here on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Brett in the dugout chat there on YouTube and on X as we stream at WI Sports Radio brings up Vinny Anthony would be a nice returner if they were to get him. Yeah. So let's say I switch it around now and say, okay, I want my wide receiver to not only help out a wide receiver, but also take over punt and kickoff return duties. I would assume it probably takes out a lot of these taller guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think like an Omar Cooper from Indiana would be an interesting guy because he could do kickoffs, he could do punts. He's a bigger receiver, not tall, but like thicker. Let me think of who else could be in that category. I mean, they're not necessarily all like, Caden Weegan out of Iowa, 5'9" and very quick. But for the most part, you're correct in that you're typically going to get the smaller guys, doing those returns. But like I said, Omar Cooper is a tough runner. You need to be tough as a returner as well, not just small and quick. So Cooper could be an interesting pick in round 2 or 3 if they decide to, forego their defensive needs that early.
Let's switch. Let's go to cornerback. You mentioned it earlier in the interview because I think cornerback, defensive tackle are probably my 2 biggest needs that I want. And again, they draft defense every single year. So why would this be any different? Yeah. But if you look at cornerback, who's there in the 2nd and 3rd round, I remember back after they drafted, who was it? Was it Carroll they drafted at corner? And I believe the thought was out of Green Bay, never, ever again are we drafting anybody under like 5'10" or 5'11". Well, then you got D'Angelo Pons from Indiana. Yeah. He's 5'9". He's a playmaker.
Maybe.
I mean, that's just it. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Here's the deal. Last year, Saint Ristil from Michigan went 50th overall. He's like 5'8".
Yep.
Pretty good player. And I think Pons is going to go right in that same area. So he'll be right in Green Bay's area at 52. Now, do I think they're going to take him? No. I think there's usually a corner or 2 that last a little bit longer than people think. A couple of candidates for that, Brandon Cisse from South Carolina, could be in that, depending on how he runs and how teams when they talk to him. And I think again, Chris Johnson from San Diego State, real smooth guy. The group of 6 guy that maybe a lot of people don't know, but he's really good athlete. And the Packers love athletes at that point. And so I think that would be a good fit. He's, around 6 foot tall, so he's got decent size and real smooth. So there's some options for them in round 2 and 3, I think, at that position.
How about corner returner in that aspect?
I'm trying to think if anybody's really elite as a returner. It's funny, Pons is actually a pretty good returner. He doesn't get a whole lot of action at it, but he's pretty good at it. Let me think. I'm trying to think of anybody off the top of my head. There's not a lot of guys that you'd want returning and being your starter. I mean, that's something you maybe try to find a little bit later.
Do you know what's great? if you're watching Chad on YouTube or on X, I said Ponce started smiling. When I brought up punt returner, he started smiling again. Why don't you think they take him?
Ponce?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's really difficult for anybody to take a guy under 5'9", 170 pounds. I think it's just really difficult for teams to think he's going to be physical enough to handle the position. That said, and we've seen, I bring him Stanistrel from Michigan. He's played pretty well, but you also have Sequez Golden coming out of Ole Miss and went in the middle of the second round. Never heard from him again. I mean,
Yeah.
I just think it's real tricky for that. I think mid-second round is his action, but Batman wasn't. These guys weren't around when Batman was in Green Bay, but it would be hard for me to see them going that small.
Badger players in this draft. Who do you like of the guys that are in this draft class?
Well, we talked about Vinny Anthony, receiver, and I think he's going to be a really good pickup for somebody in the middle of day 3. Well, I tell you, Mason Reiger really stood out at the
Shrine Bowl.
And
Yeah.
I think that he is a guy that, again, even Green Bay, if they haven't picked an edge yet in rounds 4 or 5, and they want, again, it's probably going to have some more stand-up ends and more of his body type out there. He's going to give the effort. He's going to get after the passer. He's going to get after the ball carrier. So I think he's going to be well regarded in that 5th round kind of area as well. So those are the 2 guys I really see as probably the top guys.
So now you get a break here between now and the combine, or what's next for Chad Reuter? Don't you have a big mock draft coming out here soon?
Big mock draft, 3-round mock draft. Believe coming out Friday, somewhere around lunchtime or whatever, unless there's a big trade or something that happens, which happens occasionally, right when we're going to publish the thing, because they love doing that on Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah, Friday afternoon, 3-round mock, and then I'll have a 4 after the combine, and a 5 and a 7, and all the fun stuff after that.
That's how it happens, Charlie. I just figured this out. I figured out how the Knicks get Giannis. The Packers get the Giants 1. I mean, that's the only way it happens. Packers get the Giants 1, then Giannis can get to the Knicks. I think that's fair. I'd do that.
I don't know if I would.
I'd do that. It's over for the Bucks anyhow after Giannis.
It's over, it's over for the Bucks.
I'm in. Yeah,
it's over for the Bucks, and it's over with Bucks and Giannis at this point. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So if I can help the Packers by moving Giannis, sure. I'm in. I'm all in. Yeah. Chad, thank you so much. Everybody check out NFL.com. Follow him on X at Chad_Reuter. It's Reuter. Chad, thank you, buddy. Have a good one.
Thanks, Sparky.
There he goes. Chad Reuter. Love him so much. Joining us there on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That is all. Coming up next, we're going to hear from Rick Schlesinger. He's going to give us all the details on what was announced today. The Brewers, no longer with Bally Sports Wisconsin, now will be controlled. Their TV deal will be controlled and digital by Major League Baseball, one of a few teams announcing that today. Rick Schlesinger answered all those questions earlier this afternoon. We'll get you some of those answers. What's the app going to cost us, right? Is it going to be a different app? Where are we going to find them on our TV dial? What about pre and post? What about spring training? What about how many games we're going to get in regular season compared to before? All of those questions are answered coming up straight ahead. And don't forget the thrill of witnessing a walk-off grand slam, a game-winning touchdown, a buzzer-beating 3. You know the feeling. There's only one place to experience that raw exhilaration, the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Catch all the action in a supreme space with dozens of sports betting kiosks, cool drinks, luxury seating, 2 floors. Great food at the Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen. All kinds of food options, burgers, wraps, salads, wings, all-day brunch, homemade desserts and pastries, fiery atmosphere, and a monster video wall, 2,000 square feet, 30 sporting events at one time, only at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. More info at Potawatomi.com. Must be 21 to enter the casino. If you want to reserve your seat for the game on Sunday, all you have to do is go to Potawatomi.com. There is a fee. Go towards your food and beverage, which you're going to spend that money anyhow. So it all takes care of itself at the end of the day. We'll hear from Rick Schlesinger straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. So Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy. Sparky with you. Charlie using over there. So the Come Think Sparky Miss brought to you by the Milwaukee Admirals coming up in about 15, 20 minutes or so. Rick Schlesinger, president of business operations for your Milwaukee Brewers, addressed the news today that the Brewers have decided to not wait around and see what happens with the regional network, Bally's Sports Wisconsin. That is done. Now Major League Baseball will control TV and digital content for the Milwaukee Brewers. He met with the media earlier today on a Zoom, and one of the very first things that, of course, everybody wants to talk about is how is streaming going to work? All right, so there's that. Now let's talk about pricing.
For us and with a new partner. But for the average fan, I think they're going to have the same quality experience with very minimal changes in terms of their channels or, which subscriber. Instead of going to fanduel.com to subscribe, they'll go to MLB.com. And our fans are able to seamlessly and effortlessly click buttons and subscribe. They find us pretty easily.
Okay, so he's hearing $19.99 per month, not locked in stone yet, but that's the number he's hearing if you're going to get the app, or $100 for the whole year. So that's 6 months, right? So you're essentially getting a month for free if you buy the whole regular season package. Also saying, as far as those that'll be broadcasts, 145 or less, because, as he put it, of all the National League games and all the different platforms. Now, when he said National League games, and I told Charlie this in a break earlier in the show, Charlie's like, oh, that's crap. It's going to end up on Apple TV or something, and they're going to count that as a national televised game, to which I'm not watching because I don't pay for Apple TV, so those games I'm not watching. But he did say platforms, so I think you're right on that, Charlie.
Yeah, he's choosing his words very carefully. This is a guy who knows how to choose his words very carefully. I mean, I think it's kind of crazy to me that he keeps pushing this idea that it's not any work for the fans and the Brewers are doing all the work and that they're stressing out over this and all that. I think he's kind of underestimating how much trouble some people are going to have switching channels, getting an app if that's what you need to do for some of these places, missing out on national games because the Brewers are going to be on national TV a lot this season. I think there's a lot more to this for the fans, and I get it. I think he's thinking about it from, the Brewers, this is pretty simple. Go to MLB, they have everything set in place, but it's not what's been set in place forever now. And now this is the second time in 3 years that you're changing again from the different platform.
But it's out of their control to a degree.
It is kind of. I don't know, like they're just picking bad places to go. Just go to the MLB 3 years ago instead of going through all this where you have to go in and out, in and out.
I'm pretty sure I think they're going to lose significant amount of money by doing it through MLB versus going the other way. And I think that's part of the reason why most teams wanted to wait this out to see if somebody else would come in and save the day for the regional network. Asked to him, Rick Schlesinger, president of business operations, was the idea of what about local channels carrying it? Like in Milwaukee, WMLW would carry some games throughout the year. And there were other stations around the state that were over-the-air stations that would carry some Brewers games as well.
Yeah, so the last couple of years we've had an OTA, an over-the-air package of games, and we have every expectation that we'll have an over-the-air package for fans. Obviously, it's a handful of games, and whether those are standalone or simulcast, probably the latter. Those deals will be finalized, relatively soon, but I expect we'll have an announcement on that. So yeah, there will be an option. We're trying to serve the fans in whatever viewing platforms they want. And there's certainly a lot of people who still like the over-the-air option.
Yep.
And they'll be able to have that option for a handful of games for 2026.
I think people really underestimate, and I said this for a long time, how many people just have over-the-air right now that don't have cable or satellite and don't have a bunch of apps that they're watching because they can't afford it to do all of this. Whether it be seniors that are retired and so forth and have to pinch pennies and figure out how to do this the right way, or people that just don't have the disposable income because they've got, kids they got to do sports with and all this other stuff, and they choose to spend their money in other areas. So they just live with whatever they have for over-the-air TV. I think the number is much bigger than what I think people realize. This was asked to Rick Schlesinger, what changed with the new deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we were in close communication with our partner, FanDuel Sports, and obviously in communication with MLB. And, as we were evaluating the pathways for 2026, there were certainly some questions that we had about FanDuel and sort of their strategic plan and what they were looking at. And I think from our perspective, we felt that this was about as late as we could to make a decision, and we wanted to reassure our fans that the Brewers games are all going to be available consistent with past years on cable and satellite streaming, and we just wanted to sort of make a decision and be in a position where we could rest assure our fans that there was no issues, and that we're really excited to partner with MLB Media, which has been a tremendous asset for teams, as they have shown since 2023. They have produced and distributed local games for a number of teams, and that group of teams ecosystem is growing, to a point where it's probably close to half the teams. So, Steve, it just made sense from a timing perspective to make a decision, and obviously we had a good relationship with FanDuel. And we don't know what their plans are going forward, but we know we're at home with MLB, and the quality of the production and the breadth of distribution and the offerings to our fans made it, for us, the right decision at the right time.
Okay, so there's Schlesinger talking about what changed the new deal. However, then was the question, does this TV deal help the budget on player payroll?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not a secret that the economics with MLB Media are probably Brewers TV are probably less than what we were looking at FanDuel. But I will tell you, I don't anticipate, and I'm not worried about any impact on player payroll or other operations. The business of baseball has gotten really complicated. So we have a lot of line items for revenue and maybe a few more for expenses. And when the numbers change, when your revenue numbers in one bucket change either up or down, or expense bucket numbers change up or down, it's all part of a larger mix. We are not surprised. This is not coming as a surprise. Whenever we model these things out, we always have contingencies. And candidly, for local media, because of uncertainties and how quickly the universe is changing, you have contingencies for your revenue. So this is not a surprise to us. The economics are not a surprise. Matt Arnold has flexibility consistent with past years, Lance. If there's a deal to be made to add a player that makes us better, Mark's going to say, let's do it. I mean, we're in a very competitive cycle of this team, and I like our team. And if you look at it from an objective perspective, you're probably saying team's pretty well set, but things can change. So I don't anticipate, Lance, that this change in our broadcast situation is going to have a direct or even indirect effect on player payroll or anything that the fans care about.
I think that's good to hear, but it's definitely less. And that has been out there. You can Google it from the last year, 2 years of the significant decrease that you're going to lose in money coming in versus what was coming in. But he says it doesn't matter for payroll. Okay. Take you at your word. Rick Schlesinger, president of business operations there for the Milwaukee Brewers. I think I covered everything that needed to be covered for the most part, making sure I didn't forget anything. I don't think I did. Here's one more. This was about spring training. That's relatively close. This is Rick Schlesinger talking about what about spring training games and us being able to watch those on TV.
Yeah, we're in discussions with MLB to see what number of spring training games will be telecast. It's always a handful. If I could wave my magic wand, I would have all of those telecasts. But the reality is, and this is true of most teams, that you're going to have just a handful on traditional telecasts. We obviously have alternate ways to get the games through some streaming and obviously TMJ radio, but we're working on that in conjunction with MLB. And again, in the next week or two, I expect to have specifics on that.
You would think you'd be able to stream all these games. I mean, what are we talking about here from a cost perspective? You're talking about the play-by-play guys and the engineer. That's cost. I mean, it's not like TV where you have to have camera operators and everything else per se to where you should be able to. Well, actually, I take that back. You would need one camera probably if you wanted to do it. Now, MLB would probably be like, oh, we're not half, whatting it, right? We're just going to go in full guns a-blazing. We're going to have all the angles. We're going to have all the drones. Everything's going to be there for spring training, or we're not doing spring training. Maybe they say that. But my response would be, look, in order for us to do more spring training games, if I had a one camera shot, right, from center field or whatever the case may be, 2-by-play guys, one person controlling that camera or whatever the case may be, can we do it on minimal staff and do it that way so people can stream it on the app or whatever? I don't know if they'd go for it or not, but probably not. But if that got more spring training games, I'd be all for it because I think a lot of Brewers fans would love to be able to watch more spring training games than they get.
Well, and if you can do that for spring training games and you can find a way to do it as cheap as possible, maybe you can find a way to do that for minor league games and find a way to get the minor league teams to fill in some of those blank spots on the broadcast too.
That was not answered. Tommy Wirtz is in here. I'll cover it up on the couch. Tommy, did anybody ask him about what the channel is going to be outside of the actual games themselves? Like, I'm making them get up. Is there going to be shoulder programming at all? Or is it just going to be a black screen?
The expectation is that there will be a new channel for everyone's local providers in here, wherever it is. The old channel, it's not going to be on.
Correct. But my question is, when the Brewers aren't on, what's on that channel? That's what I want to know. Did anybody ask that?
No, I didn't have anything along those lines that was brought up in there. I did see, however, the Royals make a social media post about it, who is one of the teams as well going over to the MLB TV network. It's going to be the website URL for them, at least, is royals.tv. So you will go to, ideally, brewers.tv, and that's how you will sign up and be a part of their new streaming platform that'll be run through MLB and MLB the MLB website.
Somebody needs to tell me what they're going to do outside of Brewers games. Like, are you going to simulcast MLB Network when the Brewers games aren't on?
What is it now? Is there foul territory and whatnot that comes out on there?
Yeah, slate of stuff.
Yeah. So it's not like you get like the great outdoors
shows and all that.
Adams is on there. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying, like, if you're looking for programming, Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, we'll run all of our shows. Whoa. We're here to fill the gap.
Dude, you better call the Brewers right now.
We can fill the gap from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Easy.
Right?
Jake Bauer's hour. Come on. be awesome.
Jake Bowers would probably love that.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying he'd probably love that.
I think
we could have Brandon Snide hosted with him. I think that would be a good show.
I didn't even hear what Charlie said.
Yeah, Brandon Snide. Yeah,
dude.
Yeah,
this is messed up. This is messed up. I don't have my headphones in. This is messed up. I don't like where this is going. I heard Jake Bowers and my name didn't pop up after.
No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I was cozy over here, by the way. I had a blanket on and everything,
yeah.
ready to.
He's ready to
waiting
dive
for
right
you.
back
You told me I had to work here. I don't have to work anymore during your show.
Yeah, no.
I was ready to go. So then I was just taking a little nap.
Yeah, go ahead. You got 20 minutes. Okay, take a quick time. I'll come back on the other side, and we're going to hear Think Sparky Miss, brought to you by the Milwaukee Apples. But first, the big game's almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season out right with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. Just use the code SPARKY, SPARKY. Again, use code SPARKY after you download the Prize Picks app, and you're on your way. And again, if you're playing $5 lineups, right? That's standard $5 lineups for people. You can play 11 times, 11 $5 lineups, and it's only going to cost you $5. So even if you've never done daily fantasy, you don't know what you're doing, for $5, man, give it a shot. Download the Prize Picks app today. And then when you're there, it's more or less the daily stat projections, whether it's basketball, whether it's hockey, whether it's football, again, coming up this weekend, whether it's baseball coming up this summer. It's all kinds of different sports, soccer, all kinds of soccer options as well throughout the year. So take advantage of that. Plus, Prize Picks now has early payouts. Your player gets off to a hot start. You have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. And don't forget, with the new social feeds feature, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single copy lineups you like, or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow Prize Picks partners like us and tailor fade our picks with just one click. Highly recommend fading. Just being honest. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. Tommy Wirt's coming up top of the hour at 5 o'clock with the Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up. You're listening to Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome back. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Sparky with you. Charlie using other side of the glass. We're going to get to things Sparky missed on today's show. But before that, let me tell you about my friends over there at Havish and Reuter. Don't forget, every Friday, we plead the fifth, your chance to go after maybe one of the hosts on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network for a bad take that they may have had, in your opinion, and tell them, shh, and he plead the fifth this week and not talk about it. Like some of y'all probably want to tell me to plead the fifth from the first segment of the show when we were talking about Suarez not being a member of the Milwaukee Brewers. A lot of y'all were mad at me about that one the first hour. So maybe I get nominated on Friday. Every Friday at 4:20, be a part of it. There are times when it's smart to keep quiet, and then there are times you need the right team speaking for you. Havish and Reuter is that. 1930s when they were established, going on 100 years. They are so big and such a big deal. They've won so many cases, some of the largest cases in state history they've won, that they are now known across the country. National reputation. Not a lot of people can say that in the state of Wisconsin, promise you. And then you get that hometown feel that comes along with it, that hometown service. When you come to them, it may not be for the largest payout in the history of Wisconsin, may not even be for a gigantic payout. Maybe it's for a smaller payout, but they're going to treat you like they're working on the biggest case ever. That's why you go to them. They've built this reputation over the course of time. People come, people go. People come, people go. Always still top-rate service. Check them out today. Go to habish.com. Again, that's habish.com for more information. Again, when it comes to personal injury, there's simply nobody better. Habish, and Reuter. Now, let's get to it.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
All right, here we go. I want to get into this whole idea of Doc Rivers in the Milwaukee Bucks just a little bit. And we're going to get into this more tomorrow. We'll also have Gary Wolfel on tomorrow. He'll join us tomorrow at 2:20, longtime NBA insider. Looking forward to talking to him. He has a tweet out there today talking about Miles Turner and teams doing their homework right now on seeing whether or not they'd want Miles Turner, what it would take to possibly get Miles Turner off of the Milwaukee Bucks. Meanwhile, there were other rumors going around about the Bucks potentially having interest in D'Angelo Russell and Cam Thomas from the Brooklyn Nets, to which I say, no. You see, because again, the absolute ultimate disaster would be they go and trade for a bunch of retread players, hoping that gets them into the playoffs, and then hoping that is going to change Giannis's mind to then sign in the summertime. Sam Vesson, that's how you say his name, I think, right, Vesson?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, he had an unbelievable idea that we're going to play tomorrow on this show as well. He has an idea that made a lot of sense to me, talking about how to put themselves in a position between making a deal here at the deadline on Thursday, then using your draft picks to add another star player in the summer, and then at which point you can go to Giannis and go, here you go, sign the max extension. Let's go. We have 2 star players around you now. Let's go try and win this. It was a great idea. Now, over the weekend, I relayed this idea to a couple of people that I crossed paths with, whether it be at baseball or bowling or wherever I was doing my kids' stuff. All of them went, I don't know. Hey, there's some chance involved in everything. But the Doc Rivers stuff, with everybody getting all mad about Doc Rivers and how he's acting and so forth. Tomorrow on this show, I'm not sure what time yet, but tomorrow on this show, we're going to ask you this question. If you were to give Doc Rivers advice going forward, could be on the court advice, could be how to handle a presser advice, could be how to handle the locker room advice, right? Halftime, postgame, whatever it is, advice, what advice would you give Doc Rivers? Because there's so many people that are anti-Doc Rivers, thinks he's horrible, don't think he knows what he's doing. Everybody's got answers for everything. Tomorrow, I want to give you the opportunity to give me the answers that you would give Doc Rivers and how to become better at the job that he's done for, a majority of his life now at this point. Played the game of basketball, has coached since. and yet nobody thinks he's any good at it. So we're going to give you the opportunity to kind of help Doc out. It's real simple. What advice would you give to Doc? And how much do you want to bet that the winning answer tomorrow when we do this will be quit? I bet you that will be the advice.
You mean people aren't supportive of Doc Rivers, Sparky?
No. No. And Bill Reuter leads the charge of all people with Writer Than You podcast and the Substack. Check that out. If you are a Bill Reuter fan like I am, that'll do it for Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. My thanks to Charlie Usen. My thanks to Chad Ryder, NFL draft analyst, for coming on there at the top of this 4 o'clock hour. Enjoy the rest of your night. Coming up next, Wisconsin Sports Wrap Up with Tommy Wirtz. Get you the best of the day from 5 to 6. Enjoy your night, Wisconsin. Toodles.